Hello and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland. We are an Arsenal podcast. And before the show, I said to everybody, good luck. We need more than luck. With me tonight, I'm going to go from the top right and start with Mr. Deacon, a Twitch legend in his own making. I watch him quite often. He's quite an angry man, quite a championship manager. Oh, is it championship manager or football manager?
Football manager now. It's been football manager for a little while.
I should know. I've got the last 15 of them down over there in the corner. Football manager legend. Who are you managing at the moment?
Some shitty North London club called Arsenal. And it just depresses me. It absolutely depresses me. I lost the title on the last day today from an own goal from Leno.
Sounds about right.
On goal
have you managed to get Aubameyang to score a goal? If you have, could you let Arteta know how did you manage it?
I played him up front and gave him lots of creative people behind him to give him the ball as many times as possible.
That's mental. That's a crazy.
I know it's a crazy theory. I know, but you know,
have you not thought of partnering him?
Yeah, well, especially for free kicks and corners. He's a beast with his head. Clearly. But yeah, no, that's what I'm doing at the moment. It's chaos.
It's a nightmare. Oh, secondly, on our guest list tonight, it's Tom. It's been a while, Tom. How the devil are you, sir? And how the hell is the Gooner talk? Which I was watching your one this afternoon. I was busy having a poo because I've got a dodgy belly. I don't know what I've eaten. You had a lovely new guest on there. You had a really, really top quality guest on there yesterday. What was his name? He does the pod with LeGrove.
How have I forgotten already? This is so bad. Who was I talking? I do so many shows.
I know. He's got a weird. His Twitter name sounds like somebody famous. While you're looking up, we've got Matt Roberts there. We've got Michael in Sweden. Giuliano Salmondo from Colombia says buenas noches. Who was it, Tom?
It was Johnny Cochran, who does the Arsenal Nation podcast.
He was very, very good. He sounded like he was a 50-year-old who had been at Highbury for most of his time. He had that much information. He sounded that disgruntled at times, but another brilliant find. What was he? Can you class that as a find by you?
I mean, no. I give the shout out to Andrew from Dial Square to Where. I did a show with him on there. So yeah, he gets the credit for that one.
He is very good. And we borrowed your French Gooner.
Yeah, French.
What a wonderful man.
Nice guy, French.
Unlike our lot, I don't know how you managed to get your lot to turn up. My lot. The only reason Kris is here is because I'm bribed him with rum and salt beef. Is it salt beef they eat on the boats, the ships, the pirates? Or was it lime? No, it was rum and some limes. So because he's got a touch of the rickets, haven't you, Kris? You've got a touch of the rickets at the moment with your bad legs.
You know these times when you just talk and I just sort of look into oblivion. You know those times. It's kind of like now. Where I just hear. It's like when you put your fingers in your ears and you just hear your own heartbeat. When you talk, that's pretty much what happens with me. It just sort of a noise. Hi, Danny. How are you?
Nice there. I was going to say that Sean said to me the other day, of all the people you podcast with at the moment, who's your favourite? And I said Kris. I'm quickly changing that.
That's lies. That's absolute
message her.
Lies. Oh, no,
message her and ask her. But yes, I did. And second was Ellis. And that's not saying much because Ellis doesn't do it anymore because he's too busy saving people's lives. So are you good as well?
Now. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm pissed off at the moment with various things, but my hip being one of the biggest things that's annoying me right now. But other than that, yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, I suppose. Shouldn't grumble. I do, but shouldn't grumble too much.
That's all I do, but grumble. Deacon made the mistake of asking me how I was. I told him about my dodgy belly, and then he said he's never going to ask me again. That's why Kris doesn't ask. That's why none of them ask.
I never like to know about your bowel movements.
One of the lasting memories of you, Danny, is you constantly talking about your bowel movements. Over the years I've known you, if I message you in any capacity, you'll tell me about your bowel movements. And today you graced me with what was on the menu as well. So I feel very lucky.
Because it makes no sense.
Grand
rice
details.
And bacon make anyone ill? Oh, I don't know.
And a jack of potato. You forgot jack of potato. See, I remember what you had.
It did, yeah. It did indeed. Right. Also in the chat box, it's the legendary Owen Young from the Gooner Crack podcast and every other podcast. The man is like a dirty strumpet at the moment. If you've got a podcast, you leave the door slightly ajar, he'll be in there like a whippet as a wonderful guest, and he will be joining us for the return leg against Dundalk in a whatever the hell we're playing. And also in there, we've got Michael. You've snuck in another one. I already said hello to you. Tony G, Phil Macker, not Welsh, living in Norwich. Call me Puban. Oh, is there somebody on Twitch?
Puban, what's going on, man? He was in my stream today. He watched me have a mental breakdown with losing the title on the last day. I pretty much rage quit. It's the last video there. I just went, right, fuck this shit. Closed it all down and just walked away from the computer.
We have had some new followers on the Twitchings. We have a Deacon Entertainment. Did you tell your wonderful listeners you were going to be on our show today?
Yeah, I've chucked a few of them over.
You lovely man. Got Maestro Chan and Call Me Puban. I don't know why I read that as Camden Pub, but I did. And also we had Arsenal Rule. Follow us and give us a Prime subscription. If you have any Prime subscriptions, don't give them to us. Go and give them to Deacon, because he does the Twitch all day, every day, and he's brilliant. How many days in a row have you done now? It's got to be nearly 60. It's for my mental health. I'm doing CBT at the moment, the first time in my life. Just want to sort of tackle that, and I'm a big advocate for mental health and stuff. But I normally have the days written there, but at the moment it says Gervinho's better than Pepe. So, it's 59, so it'll be 60 days tomorrow. Yeah. And as I found out, CBT is not the one where they electrocute you, is it?
No, that's electric shock therapy. I've actually spoken to someone who's had that done, and they said it's quite effective. And I was like, I think I've seen too many horror films with it, and to be honest, I'm kind of tainted like the idea of it. But apparently, it's quite effective. I don't know.
Yeah, Tom. Owen says, wasn't Johnny Cochran O.J. Simpson's lawyer? That may well be why it's familiar.
Maybe.
Yes.
he does do the official Arsenal Nation podcast as well.
I knew there was another podcast that he was on. I went to try and find it, but then I got distracted. Witty Remark is saying hello. Another one on the Twitch. That's really good. We've got people in Twitch. Unbelievable.
Phil I hosted you as well, so everyone that's watches my channel will jump in.
We can't even get our own people to do it, Deke. It's ridiculous.
I do it, but I'm watching someone else at the moment, so you just have to get in line.
You're a lovely man, Kris. You really are. There you go. I've gone to my own Twitch and I'm going to go and host it. There you go. So how long are we into the show before I've actually got on with the fucking show? 7 bloody minutes. Kris, can you tell yourself what? Who are you watching on Twitch?
Well, I'm actually watching Twitch and the PSG game. So I'm triple tasking, but it's all good.
Nice.
It's all
you
good.
Make me sick. Right.
Yes.
I said to Kris, would you like to host today? And you said no. I have a lot of things to say. Well, you can start off. We have no agenda. We're just going to be 4 angry, semi-angry Gooners. I'm more angry with other Gooners than I am with the actual club. Kris, go on, off you go. Go mad.
Well, I'd like to think that I'm sure Deeks and Tom will prod me into letting rip on certain things. So I'll just sort of give the basics first, and then we'll just play off each other in a round table fashion. But yeah, I mean, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. You know that phrase?
That's worse.
Yeah, it's exactly. You know, like when you're young and your parents only call you by your full name when you've done something wrong. I kind of hope that all the players, when they came into training today, I kind of hope that's what happened. I kind of hope they were all called by their first names, and then put vertically upside down into an ice bath and shot out of a cannon. Yeah, I think it's times like Sunday's game where I'm actually it's quite nice not being on Twitter, because I can only imagine it's been a cesspool of toxicity and dregs since then. Luckily, as I say, I have no access right now, so it's quite nice to not have to deal with that. But just from my own perspective, it kind of, because you take a break from social media, you really sort of analyze the games, and you really look at what's going on, and you really kind of take in what's going on. And I've got to be honest, I think we're utterly shite at the moment. I mean, I could put it nicely and be all kind of, politically correct about it, but I just think we're a really bad football team. And I actually felt guilty because, well, only for about a split second, because it involves Spurs, but I watched that horrendous Mourinho defensive park the bus masterclass against Man City. And I was saying to a few people, I was like, imagine having a team that plays like that. Well, then we went and did worse on Sunday. And I was like, Jesus, what have I done here? I'm very concerned that some players are getting a very easy ride. Some people are defending people where they don't need to be defended. And I feel that there's a very fine line between being critical of a manager and questioning a manager. And I think we've all been a little bit guilty of maybe going a bit overboard too soon with Mikel. Obviously, he had a great start. And I'm not, there is a perfectly level line where you can be critical of somebody and not slag them off, which again is something that I think people often forget in the social media world we live in. My slight concern is that he's a great talker, Mikel. He's a really good talker. But I'm slightly concerned that talk is now starting to become a little bit hot air, and it's starting to be. I love the talk, but can we have a bit of action now? We keep hearing about
the honeymoon period.
Exactly, and I made the point on Sundays to one of our groups, and I said if we'd have played like that under Unai Emery, there would have been bloodshed. But because it's Mikel, everyone's like, well, no, that's absolutely fine. Now I'm not saying, I'm not saying Unai Emery is a masterclass, but Tom will tell you, he's doing great things at Villarreal. He was very decent at PSG. He's a good manager. He just wasn't a good manager for Arsenal. And sometimes certain managers don't fit. But because Mikel's one of our own...
He wasn't backed either. He wasn't backed, let's be fair, he wasn't backed either by the board.
No.
He asked for Zaha and he got, Pepe, and he asked for somebody else. I can't remember who he asked for, but he got the complete opposite. I can't remember who it was. And he hasn't been backed at all. Which I don't know what that says.
And Mikel has been backed, and I'm not, I'm not saying that he's a finished product yet, and there's a long way to go. And again, I need to sort of counterbalance this by saying I'm not saying I want him out. I'm not saying he's a failure or anything like that. I'm just saying that I think we all need to wake up a bit and just look at our squad and the squad that we have, where we are in the table right now, and the football we're playing. I think is embarrassing. I think it's poor. And I don't feel like we've got any direction at the moment. And my biggest concern of all, I'll leave it here at this point, I feel like we're going backwards again. And that's a real worry for me. It's a real worry. And then there's a certain German with Turkish origins probably sat back in his armchair this afternoon going, oh, well, I told you. And I'm not saying he's the answer to our problems. Of course I'm not. But it does make you wonder.
Shoot yourself in the foot.
Exactly. And we'll come on to players that, and certain things that have happened with Mikel. But yeah, that's kind of where I am. I'll elaborate more individually on certain things as we go. But I'm not feeling great about things at the moment. And I'm not enjoying watching us again. It's becoming a chore again. And that's a shame to say that. We should have lost that game 3-0, if not more, on Sunday to, Leeds United. No disrespect, but they're a promoted club. Really? That's where I am.
Tom, how do you feel about it all? Are you more annoyed with the fan base, or are you more annoyed with the players, or the running of the club, or the manager, or a mix and match of all of it?
I'm not on the same wavelength as Kris, I don't think. I'm kind of a bit of... I understand the frustration and I understand why people are irritated by what they're watching, especially as Arsenal fans, because we've been treated to some fantastic football over the years of watching Arsenal. What I would say is that actually, like, if you look at us compared to last season, we are, in terms of points and goal difference, we're 2 points better off, and we got 2 better goal difference playing against the exact same sides last season right now. So all the games that we played this year, you compare the results against the teams last season, we are 2 points better off and 2 goals better off. Now, the goals being better off is a lot down to the defensive side of things, which I think is something that a lot of people are taking issue with right now. I look at this season very much as a necessity. I'm looking at this season very much as a transition year to sort out Arsenal's problems. I am irritated partly at the fan base because I think there's been a massive outcry already prematurely to see Arteta walk, which I think is premature considering he is achieving things right now that we have yearned for so long. He's improved us defensively. He's been part of the club signing 2 key areas with top-class players in Gabriel and Partey, which we've been crying out for the best part of a decade. We've started investing in youth. We started bringing more youth players through from that side of things. And ultimately, we look like we're competing against the top sides away from home. In fact, we're winning against those top sides away from home as well. I understand that what we're seeing isn't pretty, and I think it's going to take time before we start to really see what Arteta is capable of in an offensive sense. And you have to remember that he's actually invested no money so far in any offensive players from his point of view. I also think he's being let down by the players a lot, actually. I think that our front line is horrifically out of form. Aubameyang, Lacazette, Willian, Pepe, all of them have been horrifically out of form this season. But ultimately, it is going to come down to the manager to try and turn things around, and he does have a responsibility to do that. I just think that he's putting a lot of emphasis on trying to make us defensively strong and trying to make us much more difficult to beat, which has been our issue for so many years now. And it's going to take time. But as I've said, I think this season is going to be painful, but it's going to be necessary for what we need to do to get to the next level in the years to come.
Yeah, very good. I think that is how I feel. Deacon, I was looking. People are going. They're losing their shit on Twitter. I mean, that's what Twitter does. People don't realise that Twitter is 0.0001% of the world population. Most people don't even know what Twitter is. And then of that 0.00%, only maybe 10% of them are morons. That are. I mean, I put Drew into a Twitter conversation I was having with someone where someone was a legitimate. Oh, Tom must have seen it. Legitimately, it was arguing that Partey is basically the same player as Son. That's the kind of fan base we're dealing with. And so then I make the point. You look at Arteta. He's had
everyone's pathology experts, football experts. We've got all of the experts on Twitter. Twitter's an interesting place. You find some amazing things like Bergkamp, Wonderland, and the Walk and Talk, which I do as well. And you find some absolute morons who say stuff like that. So it's a very much give and take place, Twitter, as is social media as a whole. 100%.
But you look at the players that he's actually bought. He's had one COVID window, one other transfer window where we couldn't get rid of all the junk that he doesn't want. That was partly Arteta, Emery's buying. A lot of Wenger players that he couldn't get rid of. You look at the squad that he's built. He's got Gabriel. He's got Mari, who's been injured virtually the entire time he's been there. He's got Thomas Partey in midfield, and he's got Willian on the wing. And I think that, apart from Run of the Gunner in goal, but he's never going to play, his team is 4 players. That's all he's got. He wanted Kolasinac, Mustafi, Pepe. He wants Ozil. He wants all these players gone. That's 4 big... And he can't get rid of new players in until you get the old ones out. And he's taking the responsibility on his shoulders for the work that other people have done. It's just, what's your thoughts on the players that he's brought in, on the players that he needs? Because it's not his fault, is it?
It's a tricky one. As you rightly said, there's a lot of Emery buys and a lot of Wenger deadweight as well. That's at the club. But I echo both what the lad said in regards to what's going on. I think the players are letting down Arteta, but I think we're wearing rose-tint glasses and we're forgiving Arteta a little. I can appreciate the positives, and it's always good to look at the positives. But the fashion that we're doing certain games, it just gets completely demoralising. I think the Pepe red card, as much as it was so soft, it was ridiculous. I think it was kind of the nail in the coffin for me with regards to what Pepe's brought to Arsenal Football Club. Okay, what people say online is disgusting. Unfortunately, that's just human beings being human beings in certain situations, and I don't condone it whatsoever. I like to say on Walk and Talk, where we've interviewed ex-professional football players, a lot of them have quit football because of depression, like Marvin Sordell and Luke Chadwick, which we had chats with. They struggled with abuse, never mind with online abuse that most players get now. And you'd be stupid to think that they don't read certain things and they hear certain things about them that's being said. So, but on the other hand, I think that, people obviously jumped on the back and said, the abuse that Pepe received was just unbelievable and unacceptable. And it's like, okay, I agree with that. But on the other hand, you didn't back Ozil in that same situation with the abuse that he received online. You're holding certain players to different standards. You hear me moan about this all the time, Danny, with regards to the Bellerin and Ozil conversation. I moan about that 24/7. One player's held at a certain standard and another player's holding at a different standard. And I think there's favourites. I think we see it a lot as well. We make the joke that it's contractually agreement that Willian has to play, even when he's flown. He's been flown home from Dubai. when he's being flown home, you know, he's flying home from Dubai, which is a 7-hour flight and stuff, and he comes off at halftime because he's fatigued from going on holiday, and it gets a little bit frustrating. Yes, he's got players that are not performing for him, but you know, as Kris said with the Ozil situation, yeah, he might not be the Messiah that we were looking for, but we are struggling for a creative player, really struggling for a creative player. Why not use him? And if he doesn't perform well, then we'll all shut up. We'll all shut up and we'll go, right, okay, fair enough. Arteta, we believe you, we back you, but it's not even. I thought every player was given, you know, every new season is a new start. It's a new fresh season. Everyone gets their own fresh start. They said that very specifically about the Guendouzi situation last season, which he ended up going on loan. I don't think everyone's too really bothered about that. I think, you know, everyone got really fed up with Guendouzi and his attitude problem, which is, I've heard, was running through his entire career. Yeah, I feel like you know, Arteta's. He's getting a lot of grace. He's getting a lot of grace in regards to what everyone loves him because, you know, he's played for the Arsenal. He's learned under Pep Guardiola, which is arguably one of the best managers in recent time. I just think we need to be a little bit more. I think we need to be a little bit more realistic. Yeah, this is a transition season, but we've made big signings and we should be doing better than we are. Especially after winning the EFA Cup in the fashion that we did in the Community Shield, which we didn't think we would do that, but we did. So yeah, I'm frustrated, and as Kris said as well, watching Arsenal now has become a bit of a chore for me. And this is me being super conservative here. I am holding back like both horses, really reeling it in to try and not say anything too just really offhand, because I said some things off the cuff in emotion in the last few weeks, and I don't even think even, you know, it's even allowed to be said on Twitch, to be fair.
Go on then, Kris. You're holding something in. It's not a big poo.
No, unlike you. No, I just sort of, as you were talking there, and you were saying about it's not his team, and you know, he's working with a shambles. I couldn't disagree more. Like, look at our squad. You know, our squad is better than Man United's. I think it's better than Spurs. They've got a few individually good players, of course. But it's a very good squad. And the thing that I'm kind of struggling with at the moment with Mikel is, again, it's these. He said about these things like the non-negotiables. And it's interesting there that you mentioned Guendouzi. So it's okay to bomb out a young, talented player who we've effectively just jettisoned his value out the back door because of the way we've handled that situation. But it's absolutely fine for Willian to go off and open restaurants in Dubai. That's absolutely fine. And why is that absolutely fine? Because of his fucking agent. You know,
different standards.
Exactly.
Different standards. And everyone's got different levels of being allowed to do certain things. Everyone's treated differently. It's screamed from the highest rooftops that every player's dealt with differently.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's my concern. I'm not, you know, again, I'm not, it's not me saying, oh, he's terrible, he's this, he's that. And again, I didn't know people were calling for his head on Twitter. I mean, that is moronic in the extreme. But you have to kind of, you manage what you've got. I mean, Arsenal Granny's pot and they're not a good squad. It is a good squad. I'm sorry, I'm just not having that. Are there some poor players in that squad? Yep. But there's plenty of very good players that, as Tom has put well, they're not performing. Our entire front line at the moment is not performing. Everyone basically said, was it 2 weeks ago, oh, you've got to play Aubameyang through the middle. The man was absolutely ineffective on Sunday. And is some of that as a result of supply? Absolutely. But is there an element of, you know, he's just not kind of fancying at the moment? Yeah, as well. And that comes with form. And you have to play your way into form. When you've got a striker like that, you can't just sulk. You can't just say, "Oh, well, they're not performing, so we'll just carry on regardless." You have to change the style of play. You have to try new things. And I felt a little bit like playing Aubameyang through the middle on Sunday. It was almost like it was it's the last thing he could try because there was no other options. Because it's like, well, everyone's clamoring for it. Well, let's give it a go. And I just feel like if we'd have won that game, it would have been a sticking plaster over a seeping pus-filled wound at the moment. There's an image for you. And I just think that we're I just think, as I said, these non-negotiables, I'm very unsure about those, and I'm not going to defend Pepe. I know people will say, "Oh, he's going to defend Pepe." I'm not. What he did on Sunday, as Arteta put, was completely unprofessional, and it was unacceptable. But what you don't do as a manager then is come out and say, I can't remember the exact quote. Somebody will find it, I'm sure. But he said something along the lines of, the squad was performing well, and then Pepe let us down. You don't fucking do that. Whether he's worth 72 quid or 72 million quid, it doesn't matter. He's clearly a player who thrives on confidence. He's a player that we bought from Lille, and never, not once, have we played him to his strengths. Have we played him in a formation that suits his style? Have we played in any way like he was deployed at Lille? Not once.
You say we've not played it to his strength. What is his strength?
As an attacking, forward-thinking winger who's given license to fuck a few things up in a game and also go and win a game, which he's done for us on a number of occasions. See the Europa League, and I know that's not Champions League. I know it's not the elite level. Blah blah blah. But when you take the shackles off,
you play.
Exactly. You take the shackles off, and he becomes a better player. When was Aubameyang at his best? When he was basically told to express himself and come in off that wing and use his pace and find the gaps. Whereas now he's sort of being rigidly told, well, you just got to play on the left. But the most important thing you got to do, Alba, is you got to track back. Well,
that's that structure. That's that massive structure that Arteta's brought to the table. As much as it's helped us in the defensive area, but we're struggling going forward.
And there's too much. And I want to get Tom's thoughts on this because Tom knows, and I'm sure Danny knows my thoughts on a certain chap who manages Manchester City. But my concern is that Arteta is trying so hard to be the next Pep that he's getting lost up his own arse a bit. And that really worries me because Man City, to me, I've never once, I say never, that's completely wrong, actually. That's harsh. But very rarely, even in their pomp, did I sit and watch Man City and go, cool, they're really entertaining. Under Barcelona's Pep, don't get me wrong, they were. I love the tiki-taka and everything. But this evolution that Pep has gone into at Man City, I don't find entertaining. I find it so dull. And I feel like we're doing the same thing again. And I just feel like he's trying so hard to step out of Pep's shadow that he's forgetting about what as an Arsenal manager you are essentially required to do, and that is play exciting and expansive football. So as I say, I'm intrigued by Tom's thoughts because I appreciate I could be wrong on this, but it's just how I see it.
Well, Arteta doesn't want to be the first Arteta. He wants to be the second Pep Guardiola, doesn't he? That's the issue. Anyway, Tom.
Don't worry.
The thing is with Guardiola is that he has shown at Barcelona and Bayern and Man City that he can build a side that can score a hell of a lot of goals and can attack exceptionally well and play some really nice football. Less so at Manchester City. I think that's come down to the competitiveness of the league in part and having to adapt to that. What I will say is that something that he has failed at is defensively. Guardiola's teams have looked vulnerable pretty much everywhere he's gone. Less so in Germany because Bayern dominate that league a lot more than the two other clubs that he was at before that. But I think that Arteta, I'm not sure I'm on par with the view that he's trying to be the next Guardiola. I actually think it's more down the line of he's witnessed how successful Guardiola has been doing what he's done and thought, well, if I can do that and improve the side of the game which Guardiola fails at, then I can even go even further than what Guardiola has. And I think that possibly is a reason as to why he's focusing so much on the defence, alongside the fact that notoriously we have been horrific defensively throughout the last 10 years. On the Pepe thing, I think that Pepe it's a very similar kind of opinion to Ozil in terms of the player's ability. Pepe has the ability to be a fantastic player in the right system, in the right team. Arsenal made a huge error, in my opinion, in buying Pepe. No matter what you think about the player, in my view, and I think, and Kris, I know that you think the world of him, and I think he showed at Lille that he was a really world-class talent there. He unfortunately was just bought by the wrong club that were never going to get the best from him. And Arsenal should have gone for other players. In my opinion as well, the timing of his purchase was completely wrong. Arsenal were in desperate need of adding world-class players to the other end of the pitch rather than adding in that area. We needed to add goals, and we needed to add goals in a wide area, but we didn't have to go all out for £72 million on a player that was proven in effectively just one season. I know that he was developing, but that's where he really came to the fore in that final season at Lille. And ultimately, we're now playing him completely wrongly. And he's in a system where he has to try and play in a team that likes to dominate games. And ultimately, he's got to try and then take on 3, 4, 5, 6 players which he's got a couple of dribbles and technical skill, but he's not going to do that. I think he's an excellent finisher, and I think he should be playing closer to the centre forward and more inside, because I think that he can ultimately be less predictable playing in a more central area. I don't necessarily that means you go to a 4-4-2, because Arsenal have notoriously failed at that under Unai Emery with Lacazette and Aubameyang. But I think it means that you play him more as an inside winger rather than an out-and-out, hug the touchline, cut inside, and the defender knows exactly what he's going to do every single time. I think that ultimately Arteta's got a hell of a job on his hands. I think that it's going to be a big struggle to really try and get the free-flowing football that a lot of us want to see from this team until we add something in terms of Kris. Ozil is a moot point because he's not in the squad. Like we can sit all day and talk about it, but he's not going to be in the squad. So it's almost pointless covering it, really. But I get the sentiment on it. But it's a very frustrating time to be an Arsenal fan for sure.
The thing about Pepe, Tom, you're right. That I'm 100% with you. I do love him to bits. You're absolutely right. But the player I loved to bits was the Lille Nicolas Pepe, not the Arsenal Nicolas Pepe. And you're absolutely right. I hate giving other managers credit, but a manager that is very good at this is Jurgen Klopp. Brings in a player who fits his system first, and then develops them into the sort of player that he wants them to do. He knows that a Roberto Firmino is not going to track back and do what a James Milner is going to do when you say to him, look, James, I need you to play right back, right midfield, left back, and up front. He knows James Milner will do that because he knows he's the sort of player and the sort of personality can get that. What you can't do is buy a flair winger and just say to him, right, I'm going to transform your whole game, because the very few, especially that position, wide forward, inside forward, attacking forward, that's their strength. That's what they do. And it was another reason why I was so against the idea of us buying Will Zaha, because for me, what he's brilliant at is basically running Crystal Palace's attack. Everything goes through him, everything is centered through him, and everything that is good about their attack is often through him. At Arsenal, we wouldn't have done that. He would have been just another floating winger. He basically, I think he probably would have been what he was at Man United. A very good player, but not utilised correctly. And that's what we've done with Pepe. And my worry is that we've just signed, our multi-million-pound centre-forward striker to a new contract, and we've played him out of form, and we're having to play him because there are no other options really. Lacazette is clearly not in form, and doesn't look to change that right now. And again, he's another one that I don't think we play to his strengths. And if we're not going to play Pepe how we bought him, then you're absolutely right. It was 72 million quid's worth wasted. And of course, we know there was a little bit more to that deal than meets the eye, allegedly. But it's no good scouting and spending thousands and millions on players and scouting them, and then bringing them in and playing them in a completely ineffectual position or playing them out of position. And I do agree that Arteta's made us better defensively. Gabriel has been a huge part of that. Rob Holding's been a huge part of that. I think Hector Bellerin's had a really good season, despite his throw-ins. I think he's shown that he's, he may not be as quick as he once was, but I feel like he's getting back to the player that we thought he would be. And Kieran Tierney speaks for himself. He's a quality investment. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't see the point in us buying these flair players. If we want to play the way we're playing, then let's just go to Stoke and just sign all their players, or Burnley. Yeah, sign Jay Rodriguez and Chris Wood and just go long. Because we get more...
Sorry, but what you should be positive on, Kris, and what you said earlier about, like, you look at Jurgen Klopp, who identifies the areas that Liverpool needed to improve in, and they've obviously got in Van Dijk, they got in Alisson. Before that, previously, they got in Salah, and then before that, they got in Mane. What you should take sort of a positive from is the fact that in the windows that we've had Arteta, and I don't really look at the January window too much, like with Marie, who we've really not seen, and Cedric, which I think was a bit of an agent situation going on there. But Arteta and Edu, when in combination with Rowe, now moved out of the picture, thank God, that they've worked together and they've identified the areas that they feel that Arsenal need to improve in. We know that getting a centre-back in was so key, and they got a hell of a centre-back in Gabriel. And then they've identified that clearly centre midfield, in which we got Partey in, and then they wanted Houssem Aouar. It's very obvious that we did want, and we pushed for him. It just wasn't a situation that we could get done, because we ultimately didn't move enough players out to consequently get that deal done. But like you said with what Jurgen Klopp does, you should be hopeful that we've now got a manager that can work with Edu and they can get the players in that we need. I feel that we wouldn't really be in this and getting an hour, but ultimately we couldn't do that. And it's going to be interesting to see it in January. Do we push the boat out and go really heavily, ruthlessly into, say, a Szoboszlai, or do we wait for the summer? If we wait for the summer, I think it's going to be a long, painful season. But I think, again, it is us moving in the right direction, identifying those key areas that we needed desperate reinforcement in.
Do you think there's a worry, anyone can take this, is there a bit of a worry that every single time the transfer window shuts, the first thing we're all on about is who we're going to sign the next transfer window? I don't know about you guys, but I'm just getting really tired of, we've got this guy, that's fine now. All we need is another new one of those and another new one of those.
We like shiny things. That's that.
I'm not against bringing in new players, but sometimes you just got to sort of go, I'd like to see what you can work with here. I'd like to see what you can. And again, I loathe to give that vermin up the road any credit, but he's suddenly found that actually Tanguy Ndombele is actually quite a good footballer. And I don't actually think it's all about Mourinho. I actually think some of that is about the player getting his, knuckling down and working hard. But sometimes you've got to look at the players you've got and go, actually, we've got a few players here. Let's work with what we've got. But I don't know. I mean, as I said, I think our squad is good enough. But I just wonder how many times are we going to go through this sort of transfer roundabout before we finally go, right, we've now got enough of a squad. Because pre-season, we were all like, yeah, this is great. We all knew we needed that Houssem type of player. But other than that, we thought, yeah, we're good. And now we're sat here 2 months later going, oh, January. Do you know what I mean?
Crazy how it can turn around. Crazy how it can turn around. The issue is we're in a bit of a rock and a hard place. We were on this, in the summer transfer. We were thinking about maybe just cashing in on everything and starting fresh. And using this season as one of our many seasons to try and build something with a younger team to kind of gel together over time, signing young and promising players. But we've put all of our chips on the table. We've gone in. We've given Aubameyang a huge contract. We signed Gabriel as don't get me wrong, he wasn't a bank breaking deal, but still money coming out. Saliba. We got him last season, but we hadn't used him. We still haven't got him. That's another conversation for another time. I think that's a long one. The reason you're trying to tell me that he's not better than Mustafi, please just have him on the bench for even just a flipping cup game. I don't get that. But anyway, putting money in for Partey as well. I did giggle when we signed him on the transfer deadline day after Atletico Madrid were trying to do us dirty and we kind of left them in the lurch. That was quite I giggled to that one a little bit. But We've just gone all in, and even Willian. Okay, yeah, we signed him on a free, but if you know anything about signing players on a free, he's going to get a significantly hefty signing on bonus with some agent bonuses to boot. So that Willian's going to cost us 10, 12, maybe even 15 million, possibly, depending on So to say that he's a free signing, that's not the case. Yeah, we got him on a free, but his signing on fee would have been in correspondent to a potential buy from Chelsea. But yeah, we're stuck in a rock and a hard place. We could have and Kris said it right. We were happy with the signings we made. We were like, okay, yeah, we're missing a creative, but we didn't think it would be as bad as it was. But we also didn't think that Arteta would shoot himself in the foot and not even actually try and add. I've worked it out. You can get Ozil into the man squad with dropping Mari up until December, giving Ozil 6 months to find out what's going on. That's not even a homegrown or an under 21. There's no issues there. It's all you can do it. It's no problem. And Mari's not back yet, and we know he's not going to be back until mid-end December. That gives Ozil first half of the season to do something. Everyone gets a fresh start, as Arteta rightly said, which he hasn't done for any of the players. And that goes on to the conversation again once everyone's kind of got their own rules and regulations that they can abide by. God forbid, I'd like to see what Willian's got in his contract with certain things and promises that have been made to him, how many games he's played and where he's played and the circumstances in which he is. It's getting frustrating. I've been so fed up at watching Arsenal the last few weeks, like super fed up. And the Pepe thing was kind of the nail in the coffin for me. really is the nail in the coffin. His don't get me wrong, his dead ball finishing is absolutely absurd. The some of the goals that he scores with his left foot, are just out of this world. And he's got a creative flair to him as well, which is great. But we signed a player. No, sorry, the Arsenal board signed a player that just doesn't really fit on our system. When we should have gone for, Premier League proven Wilfried Zaha. We would have got him overall much cheaper. Okay, yeah, we didn't pay £72 million for Pepe. That's over 5 years. I think it was like 20 odd million up front. But it was just, as Kris says, allegedly dodgy dealings by Mr. Raul Senieri a week later after the deal was looked into financially. They went, "Oh, we're going to have to get rid of the Don here because that was a bit weird." But we're signing players that don't fit because we're trying to be too structured, because Arteta's trying to be, Pep number 2 and not Arteta number 1. There's just so many facets to this bow of problems that you can ramble on for a very long time about all of the major issues that are running through Arsenal Football Club right now. What direction are we going in the backroom staff? We went with, right, we're going to use Raul Senieri and his little black book of contacts, and we're not going to do scouting anymore. We'll get rid of all the scouting. Right, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to do numbers game. We'll do stat DNA. Okay, great. And then we signed Runarsson because our goalkeeping coach knew him and thought he was a good bloke. So what? Hold on. What are we doing? I'm sure we would have found a much more promising, cheaper option than Mr. Runarsson, who is, don't get me wrong, we've not seen him, but all you can do is look at the stats from France last year. He's not and I'm sure Kris can give me more information on that, but he's not the best keeper on the planet, I can assure you. He might be good with his feet, apparently, but once again, we don't know what's going on. And we're completely shut out. We don't know we're completely shut out with what's going on behind closed doors. And I'm just really worried about how much leeway and how many permissions that Arteta can have and do, and just freelance and go about doing what he's doing and not being just a head coach, but now a manager. Has he been given too much of the reins too early because we're all still very much at that honeymoon period? I think we're piling too much on Arteta and hoping that he's going to be the Messiah.
There's time. I mean, it takes time. I think.
Before we go on, Kris, I just want to.
Yeah.
Can I just say something before we go on?
You may.
Manscaped has chucked a load of ball shavers at us, so we've got to say thanks to Manscaped.com. Go there, use the code Bergkamp, and get 20% off if you want to go and do it. It's you can use it for your arse, your armpits, your legs. What other parts of your body should you be shaving, Kris, if you're an actual real man?
Nose, ears, chest. I mean, you can shave wherever you fancy, really. I mean, you should always.
I'd to shave my face. Yes.
You're looking abominable again.
I know, it's very good. So yeah, go to Manscaped, because they've been kind enough to go and sponsor us. And the very least, I think they didn't say how many shows it was for, but you're not going to go and chuck 4 shavers at us and then go, thank you very much for doing one show that only a couple of thousand people saw. So yeah, if you go there and use the code Bergkamp, get 20% off, then you never know. They might even sponsor more pods properly. I don't know what they're going to throw at us this time. Maybe they'll throw... what else did they need to do? Some nostril trimmers and ear trimmers, because I've got hairy nostrils and I've got hairy ears, and I don't know why I've got any of that. And I don't want any of it. On the Twitch, Rick D89, Callum McCoy I90, and that's you go. Those 3 people. 1, 2, is that 3? I can't even count to 3 anymore. That's 2 people. I've overinflated the stats again. Thank you very much, you two, for following us on Twitch. Very kind of you. Go on, and Kris, you were going to say something really important.
Well,
I piped it up.
Nothing I say is ever important, but no, I think it's important to have some balance, and Tom said it very well so far as well. I'm personally not, and I don't think any of us are sat here now going, he's terrible, throw him out with the bags. He's awful manager. But I'm not saying that, and I like the fact that I do like the fact that he's a good talker, and I like the fact that he fronts up. But there has to be. It doesn't make you a bad person to question the things that you see. It doesn't mean that you don't support the manager, the club, the philosophy, everything. You can ask questions without thinking someone's quote unquote shit, as the wonderful world goes. There's nothing wrong with questioning things, and my kind of worry is that since Mikel's come in, it has been for the majority, it's been up. There's been lots of positives. Obviously, there was a trophy. Lots of positives. This is when the real test comes now. This is when we're needing to evolve, and these are the times when we really need to get things together and work hard, and that this is where we're going to sort of really see what he's made of at this point, because there is criticism, and some of it is completely unfair, and some of it is completely without foundation, and even some of the things that I think might not be fair. It's just sort of how I feel. But I think in the coming weeks we've got a real test. Wolves at home is no gimme. We've got that lot up the road, and God forbid that goes against us. And you can bet your ass Mourinho will be parking that bus all over the pitch when we play them. And we've got a busy period ahead, and I think in a way not having crowds is a benefit to us at the moment, because I don't think the atmosphere would be great right now. And it's nothing to do with Twitter. I think, as you said, Danny, a lot of people are not on that platform, but I don't think the natives would be particularly enjoying what we're putting out at the moment. And sometimes I don't want to go with the old adage of, you'd rather lose 3-2 and it be entertaining. But there was no point in that game, even when we had 11 men on Sunday, where I sort of sat there and went, we're really going for this. At no point. And the one thing I think that of all the things that I would really like to see Mikel work on, I'd like to see us passing the ball forwards again, because this sideways shit I can't. It's just so dull, and it's very, when you've got the Spanish national team, to a certain degree the French national team do it as well. When you've got players of that quality, no worries. And when you've got academies brought up through it who've developed that game, no worries. We haven't. And we're nowhere near that level. Just playing out from the back, great, that's a good start. But when you've got it out from the back, you need to then move it forwards into those final thirds, and you need to be progressive and pushing the ball forwards. We sort of get it in and around the halfway line, and we basically do the online FIFA community. Oh God, I don't want to attack, because if I attack, that means you can counter attack me. No, everybody just drops back, sits behind the ball, waits, and then hopes for the best. It's not entertaining, and it shouldn't always be about entertaining, but you've got to be progressive. I'm worried that we're so worried about making mistakes that we're not taking chances, which will hopefully unleash our forwards. And yeah, that's kind of where I sit. And somebody actually put in the chat, I just wanted to mention as well. I can't remember who it was. Actually, I have to look it up. But they said no more Ceballos. Wow, because he was our only shine of light, I thought, on Sunday. I think whenever he plays, he's one of the few players that actually tries to do something in that middle area. And we haven't seen that for Partey yet.
But then it goes back to how much micromanaging can Dani Ceballos receive once fans come back.
That's also true.
It's not.
Yeah. Because there's been a lot of it.
It's not. You can't micromanage like Arteta's doing. Okay, Ceballos is playing really well at the moment. He's playing well at the moment, apart from the two passes where he's playing it to someone training on the side of the pitch or something. I'm not so sure what's going on there. I was just so confused. I think everyone was like, there must have been purpose behind that pass. And the problem is, he's getting completely micromanaged, and it's great to hear, but it's not something that can be done with any longevity of any kind. So at what point will Ceballos be able to do the job without having to be micromanaged? And that once again goes to the point of Arteta being extremely, extremely structured, and then asking our most creative players to track back. I know Tom said, it's a mute point with Mesut Ozil, but a lot of the time he had to go out a lot for not tracking back, and now we're on the other side of the fence, which is completely correct, that you can't ask certain players to track back. You've got to allow them to just go about their creative, find pockets, at the hope and pray that a opportunity arises for a quick counter attack, which is the reason why Pepe did so well in France, was just that quick, not thinking too much counter attack. He's not a guy that's going to beat 2 or 3 men, but we're trying to turn him into that. He can't do that, and you can see him struggling, and it's frustrating him. And I think the headbutt thing, as much as it was ridiculous, I think that's kind of really
frustrating
frustrated. It's just him, exactly. That's him. It's him lashing out because he's frustrated. He's recently, as well had a pop at Arteta on, via the, MSN mainstream media, and he gets really frustrated. And what's great about doing a podcast a couple of days later, you can kind of, take things in and not try and have an emotional response because it's quite difficult when it's still raw to be able to talk about it without any sort of bias towards certain situations. My love for Pepe is fading fast and has been for many months, and since we've signed him, because I wanted Zaha. Emery wanted Zaha. Raul Sanieri went out and bought Pepe in a system that we just don't play well in.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm going to combine.
I want to ask Tom something when you finish, but carry on.
Tom, you're going to get it. Going to combine two of your favourite things, Tom: cooking and football. How's this for an analogy? Arteta is trying to make the perfect cake. He's got all the ingredients. He puts the flour in. He puts the eggs in, which is get the ball, give it to defenders. That's the eggs and the flour. Then he puts the sugar in and he's mixing it up. That's the midfield. And then just as he's ready to get the midfielder ready to give the ball to the attackers, that's him mixing it all up. Because no, it's gone wrong. Right, in the bin, start again, get the bowl, put the flour in, put the sugar in, put the egg. No, it's gone wrong again, in the bin. And is that a good analogy for what he's doing? If the play doesn't go the way he wants, they all revert to passing it sideways or giving it back to the goalkeeper. Because Tom, if you look at his Instagram, Tom is a cook. He's an Italian wizard, aren't you?
Yeah, I do like making my own pasta. It's fair to say. So
you certainly
it's
do.
a hobby and an obsession. I get the analogy. I think maybe to use a cake analogy would be, in my mind, if you're looking to make a specific cake, but actually I feel he's got the ingredients for a different dessert in my mind. Like, I still think he needs to remove I feel like he needs to remove some of the baklava ingredients and get in some more lemon meringue, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yes.
Less jalapenos in the fruitcake.
But yeah, I just think that ultimately I saw a question in the chat from I think it was David Keefe slightly earlier up. He was asking about how long do we, if say we lose against Wolves, if we lose against Spurs, how long do we kind of persist? And the answer is that you persist until next summer, because this is not enough time for an analysis on whether or not we should move on from Arteta, because as we've used with that world-class cake analogy, he simply does not have the ingredients right now to be able to really get Arteta in full flow. I'm hoping that we can start to do. Also, next summer, I'm really excited about, and I know, Kris, you mentioned about we're always kind of looking ahead to the next transfer window, but next summer is really important because Ozil will be gone, Mustafi will be gone, Luiz will probably be gone, Sokratis will be gone, and we'll probably move on some players that necessarily we don't. Lacazette we could see possibly leaving. You never know. Pepe could genuinely be sold if he's not sold on him. It could happen at this point because we're showing a little bit of ruthlessness. We just at the moment can't find anyone to buy our bloody players when we need to let them go. That's the problem.
Typical.
But next summer is exciting because we're getting a huge amount of money off the wage bill. We're going to have more scope to invest. We've seen over the last 2 windows that KSC are willing to now invest. They did it with Pepe and they've done it with Partey. So I'm interested to kind of see where they go with that. I know that there's a nostalgic element that we can't quite move past sometimes, and it's difficult to see that after so many years of frustration. But I think that ultimately Arsenal have spent money in the past. It's just been spent really badly. And we just need to really turn that around, honestly. You had a question, Kris.
Yeah. Talk to me about Cholo, Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid, because they've gone through... Where do you even begin? But they've gone through a bit of a change, haven't they, in terms of the fact they were always that hard to break down, nasty shit of a team. But they always had a little bit of flair, and particularly when they had Griezmann up front. And they were a different side then to what they are now. But this season, it's working for them. And they're performing, and I think, like, based upon the limited amount of La Liga I've seen this year, that they're the team that's impressed me the most. And it's just because they've almost mixed that blend of structure and hard to beat element of cake ingredients. But it feels like even and I have to step back and say I didn't see it coming, because I thought Simeone was just a shithouse of a manager and that's all he could do. But he's proven otherwise now, because he's giving that little bit of flair. What do you think there's a comparison in that as to where we are as a club, when you just sort of have to go, okay, yeah, we've got that down now, but we have to come out of our shell a bit. Otherwise, we're just always going to go that one step before the Champions League final, or we're always going to finish third.
I think with Atletico Madrid, it's a really interesting case study because they have, as you say, for quite a while tried to do this thing where they've tried to shift away from the shithousery of previous seasons. I think that there is ultimately more so that Simeone's accepted that Atleti are always going to have that kind of industrious element to their game, and it's not something that you can just throw out all of that to get him what he wants to be a little bit more expressive. So I think he's actually found a nice balance. One of the biggest examples of that within the team is Marcos Llorente, who started off life as kind of a defensive-minded midfielder and has gradually moved forward, but he's maintained a lot of those defensive elements to his game, to be physical, to win the ball back high up the pitch. And instead of buying players like Thomas Lemar, which just hasn't really worked out, and binning off players like Carrasco, he's realised that actually, no, I need players like Carrasco, and that's why he's been brought back, and that's why they're seeing so much more success. I still think that there is so much good in what Simeone did to get them to 2 Champions League finals, in which ultimately were very hard done by, and certainly one of them to lose at them. But he has been able to bring in the players necessary to try and add that little bit of technical flair needed to take them to that next level. I think Luis Suarez coming in is huge for them. It adds them to a finisher that they lacked when Griezmann left. João Felix is finally kind of turning around to become that player that we thought he was going to be. He still has a lot more tweaking and improving to do, and especially on a consistent basis. But he's certain to try and turn things around. And ultimately, players like Godin have now moved on, and they've invested in other centre-backs. I love Hermoso. I think he's I felt we could have signed him, to be honest, from Espanyol when he was there. Jimenez is obviously there too and doing really well. Savic is kind of one of the old guards that will remain. Oblak too has that kind of industrious element to himself. But then you've got players like Renan Lodi at left back who do really well to be that kind of expressive fullback, whereas previously they never really. He's really good, and they never really had that kind of that player. They had Felipe Luis, who again was a very classic Simeone kind of fullback that came to the Premier League with Chelsea, never really worked. Went back and carried on doing what he was doing in the first place. So I see what you're saying about Atleti and it being kind of comparison to Arsenal. I think that there is certainly elements of that, and ironically, I do think it's funny how a lot of fans previously were desperate to see Diego Simeone come in and replace Arsene Wenger, and now we've got a manager that wants to play more industriously. They're like, nah, I don't want any of this. It's horrible.
Yeah, I've said the same. I've said exactly the same.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's really interesting. I hope it works. I think it's going to take time, and I think it's going to take obviously him getting in some players. And I know that I don't want to get bogged down in looking ahead to the next window, but there genuinely is an emphasis on trying to get that creative player. Ozil is going to move on. And just to pick up, Deacon, and what you said about Ozil, the reason why Marie was kept in is because he did have a setback injury-wise, and they thought he was going to be coming back a lot sooner.
No, I'm sure. I just used his, I used him as an example. There's 2 other players that could be can be used as well.
I think he could have been included. That's what I really do.
Mustafi was another one of them. You're always going to upset. Sorry, not Mustafi. Sokratis. Was Sokratis injured? Can't remember.
Yeah, but he's easily left out as well, isn't he?
So, but there's other examples that can be used. You're going to have to upset the cart when you sign so many players. But we've got how many defenders? 8+.
I would have left out Cedric, to be honest, but that's
it's once again, that's another situation. Yeah, the Cedric situation. Ainsley Maitland-Niles proved himself in the 2 finals that we played in recently. How he's not been in and around the first team a little bit more. It remains to be seen, and that's definitely for me the backup to Bellerin. And my disdain for Bellerin is topic for another situation. I ran about him more than enough on my own Twitch channel. For the frustration that boy gives me, I get heart palpitations, especially when I do live reactions. I just hate maps. He's played much better this season, but one good moment doesn't get rid of 20, 30 bad moments. He just isn't the player we had when before his injury. But anyway, it's frustrating. We don't have any creative players. We went out and signed Willian for a stupid amount of money. I know on a free, but as I said, the signing on bonuses. Why we haven't used Ozil in any capacity, just even in a cup game, and then you've got the Saliba situation. Arteta isn't just he's not helping himself with certain instances like that, and people remember these things. And they get more and more frustrated. It's frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. Really, really frustrating.
My biggest worry and again, it's very reactionary. We're doing it. I'm sure lots of pods will do it. If we win 3 games in a row, 3 weeks time, we'll all be going, oh, everything's all right again, and then we'll lose again, and the whole world. That's just the modern world.
We've
That's
always
what
been like
everyone's
that.
Man United.
Man
United were the worst team in the world 3 weeks ago, and now suddenly they're all right again. Spurs. So, but my one sort of slight concern is that I just feel that whilst we've defensively impressed, we've offensively digressed, and that's my concern. The manager that I saw come in and have an immediate effect was a manager that came in and yet he put the discipline down, which I liked, because I do think you can't have the inmates running the asylum, and our club has been badly run behind the scenes for far too long, and there's been too many players getting a free ride on big contracts for far too long. And we brought in arguably a couple more, which the jury is, let's be fair, the jury's still out. I don't think Willian's been anywhere near as bad as some people would have you believe, but I also think
pretty
he's
well in the
capable.
first 15-20 minutes. I thought he beat a couple of people. He was winning the ball back really well. So if we have to play him for 45 minutes and he has to keep going on holiday to Dubai each week, then maybe I would rather take one good 45 minute than 90 minutes of what Willian's been giving, apart from the Fulham game.
That's the concern, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, no, but then they're the same. But they were the same Chelsea fans that actually wanted to keep him. So I mean, it's not. I don't think he becomes a bad player overnight. He is that. Somebody said it on a pod. I can't remember who it was I was listening to. But somebody said it right. He's a very Arteta player because he does 90% of his passes are fine. They might be sideways, but they go where they're supposed to go. He tracks better than any other winger we've got. He does the defensive side very well. He does the safe things really well. So from that perspective, he's exactly the sort of player that.
But he left Bellerin exposed so many times against Leeds, though, didn't he? Because Bellerin's not been playing bad lately. I know we're not going to get onto his veganism yet. We'll save that for another show, a dietary special. But I think people have been very hard on Bellerin, and I think defensively he's upped his game a little bit, and we've seen over the years, whether it's Perez protecting Cole or whether it was Ljungberg protecting Lauren, and we've seen now on the left side, Saka will protect Tierney, and that's what we need on the right hand side, which is why I love seeing Mainsley, if I can use that copyrighted term, Tom. I love seeing Mainsley play on the right hand side because he will go back and protect Bellerin, and Willian hasn't been doing that, has he? That's one of the things that is really beginning to annoy me.
But how many times? Like, again, I know we're streets ahead of a club like Liverpool. Who protects Trent Alexander-Arnold? Who protects Andy Robertson? I'll give you a clue. Nobody. VAR. No, well, yeah, VAR, but nobody. And why is that? Because they play such high pressure football and they play such expansive football that they force the opposition back. They don't sit there and go, oh, I don't want to go over the halfway line. I've got to have protection. No, they don't do that. Robertson and Alexander-Arnold are probably the two most creative players Liverpool have, and they're both fullbacks. But because they're played in an expansive style that gives them that option. And we sat here, and this is what our fan base is like sometimes. We sat here under Unai Emery and went, well, the only tactic we've got is getting the ball to Kolasinac and pulling it back. Well, what are we doing with Bellerin? We're doing exactly the same bloody thing. Hector was playing as a bloody right-sided attacker at one point on Sunday. It's not always about. I think somebody put it in the chat earlier on. Maybe there's just a little bit too much instruction going into this, a little bit too much overthinking. That cake analogy. I wouldn't have a clue where to start making cake. I can barely make toast. But one thing I would do if I was going to do it is I'd get everything laid out in front of me and go, right, okay, these are the ingredients I have. This is what I can make. Not, well, I've got all those ingredients, but I'd actually like to make a 4-course roast dinner, but I haven't even got chicken. Like, you kind of have to. There's lots of food going on here.
This is the food analogies.
So many food analogies. But you've got to look at what you've got and just think to yourself, actually, we've got to work with what we've got, and we've got to sort of put things into perspective a little bit. And as I say, defensively, I'm quite impressed. I think we've got very lucky with Gabriel, by the way, because he was always very good in France, and he was very good at Lille. I didn't think he'd have as a big an impact as he's had. And I think already he's become a leader in that defence. And it's interesting that he's getting in ahead of David Luiz. I know he had a child in it at the weekend, but not him personally, but his partner. But it's clear that Gabriel's the first pick, and Holding, having been out in the cold pretty much on his way to Newcastle, is now seemingly first choice as well. But I just think that we've all got kind of short memories sometimes, and it's important that we kind of take a bit of stock and go, it's not all doom and gloom. There's a lot of, as exactly what Tom said, there's a lot of good things about what we're doing, and there's a lot of progression. But I'm just worried that the regression is starting to creep up heavy, and a couple more defeats, and I worry that it'll get very, very toxic again, and that's never good for our lot.
What I think about like the regression side of things is, whilst I've kind of set my stall out very much in the case of we need to stick with this guy until the next transfer window, until we can get this in, that it doesn't mean that it excuses if we go on and draw the next 10 to 15 games 0-0, like, because we haven't created anything, we haven't scored. We still need to do that. There are no excuses for not doing that. I think ultimately he needs to start trying different players. I think he needs to start rewarding players that are doing well in other areas of the club. Like if say Emile Smith-Rowe continues to bang the goals in for the under 23s, bring him in, get him playing, because that's how you reward and show that these young players have got a route into the first team and they can progress. Willock, I thought was the right game to put him in. Put him in against Leeds. He had a really good game against Mulder in the Europa League. He didn't really take that opportunity, I felt, against Leeds, to be honest. He was sprightly in the first half, but he kind of trailed off towards the second. And clearly when Bukayo Saka came on, we looked a completely different side. And that just goes to show how much emphasis there is in that young man to be our most creative figure in the team. Who I should say, Hector Bellerin set up exceptionally well. Sorry, Deacon. But he did set up.
I've got this thing because I've been doing live reactions on my Twitch. I've live reacted pretty much to every Arsenal game just on my own, just getting purely frustrated. Every time I've been getting annoyed with Bellerin or Pepe. I think the last time I got annoyed with Pepe, he went on and scored that 30-40 yard run and just sprinted and buried it in the bottom corner. And I went,
Sheffield United,
that's called that's called the John Welsh curse in ABW land. Every time John says everything, that's what happens.
As much as Bellerin annoys me, I want Arteta, I want Bellerin to prove me wrong. I want to be proven wrong. I'm a realist. I get frustrated like every normal person, but you just want to be proven wrong,
Aziz is in the squad for Thursday, which is going to be great to see. If Aziz has a really good game against Mulder, you have to think that, and that's what I have to say is frustrating me about the Saliba thing, especially considering like the Mustafi situation. Mustafi supposedly has rejected a contract offer from Arsenal, whether you believe that or not. Why on earth we are persisting to put Mustafi into the squad when you can put Saliba on the bench just to give him some minutes if, say, we're 3-0 up, which I know sounds like a dream, but if, say, we happen to be 3-0 up in a game, why not just put him? Why not give him that little bit of mental boost that he needs?
We know for a fact that if we played Saliba, we would give him leeway. Look what happened to Holding. Look what happened to Holding. It only takes a quick turnaround. Chris said it right. Frozen out, going to Newcastle. Now he's very much prevalently in the first team. Saliba's going to make mistakes. We know that. We were expecting it with Gabriel, but he's just hit the ground running, which is absolutely fantastic. I just don't get why he's just not in and around the team, Saliba. Yeah. And then once again, that's like Arteta shooting himself in the foot thing. Yeah. And at what point are we going to take the glasses off and go, right, everything's not rose tinted, not everything's walking around, everything's red, because the love for Arsenal. We need to look at things sometimes with less emotion and more. Okay, well, this isn't going right in this certain situation. I've like the amount of times I got frustrated at the substitution choices and first team choices. Willian's not worked, Pepe's not worked in certain situations. Reward someone else. Like you said, Emile Smith-Rowe. Why didn't you reward him? Give him a start. When I saw Reece Nelson coming on Sunday night, I was like, fantastic. I love Reece Nelson. That's brilliant. He's going to run, he's going to work hard, and he's going to play for the shirt, right? And then I find out the only reason he's coming on is because Willian came back from Dubai.
The only thing I would say on Saliba, well, the only two things I would say is, the first thing to say is don't panic. We haven't bought a third division trash centre half. He's a very talented centre half. Yeah, absolutely. Know that.
That's the annoying thing. If we were ignorant and this was before social media, we'd have more faith. But we know things more now. You can't
hide this sort of. We can research and find out what he's done and watch games. We can do that all now. You can't hide that from us. We know that he's better than the half the centre backs that are in the first, in and around the first team squad.
Yeah. I think the only other thing I would say on Saliba is that we've just sort of spent a podcast talking about the attack. The one area that's working, and we're all saying we want a defender in the team. We've got 2 defenders that are actually doing on the whole a bloody good job. So I get it, I get it, but at the same time, Saliba isn't going to change anything about how we attack or transition the ball out of defence. We're doing that bit fine. We probably. Am I going to open that box? We probably could have a goalkeeper that distributes the ball slightly better.
Oh God! Don't open that box.
We all feel the
Leno
same.
is not a problem.
We all feel the same.
He might be playing very well for Aston Villa at the moment. I don't know. Just putting it out there. I just feel like we're trying to change what actually is working fine defensively. Well, I say working fine.
Holding doesn't need to change at all.
No.
If we're looking at this team, chopping and changing the defence is not what we need to do.
Oh God, can you imagine? We'd be losing to Leeds 5-0. And I quite like the fact that that we are looking defensively better. I mean, Tierney can be our left back for 10 years easily if things go well.
20.
Until of course we sell him to Barcelona or something because he's too good for us. I think Hector. Yes, there's pluses and minuses, but I think overall I'd rather have him than not have him until there's a better option available or not. The 2 centre halves have been good.
I don't get the Max Aarons thing. I don't get that. I don't understand why we didn't take a punt.
I kind of agree. The only thing I would say again is attacking fullback. We probably wouldn't have deployed him the same way, but yeah, I mean, those centre halves. I've been really impressed with Holding because people have forgotten as well. This is a guy who came back from a career-changing injury. It's not just a guy who was out of favour for 6 months. He's come back, if anything, a better defender. Less hair, of course. But speaking of less hair, Danny. But I think Holding's been really good, and I like the partnership with Gabriel. They're kind of a good blend, and I get the impression that they sort of get on the pitch as well as off the pitch. They seem like a good fit. But yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I'd say with Saliba. I think we're having him. The biggest thing that we got wrong in the Saliba situation was just not letting him go back to St Etienne in the summer. And we quibbled over a couple of £1 million, and St Etienne went all
4 at 18. That blows my mind. You say he's big thing. I instantly went to, he's a big guy actually.
Yeah, and you see him playing the reserves, and it's like it's like that kid who goes back to his school for a reunion and just dribbles round the year 6s at playtime.
It's Robbie Williams Jack. That's what it is. He's just walking around.
Yeah, and it's just a shame because his development is going to waste in our reserves when he would be playing. He'd be in St Etienne's back 4 right now. I'll tell you that because they're really 100%. Struggling this season.
They're frustrated apparently that if you go by anything that sports media are telling you, they're frustrated that they didn't get him back on loan this season again.
We wanted a loan fee and they went no.
And that tells you everything. I don't understand why we've said no and then not put him in the team.
And all we had to do was when we signed him, just said to St Etienne, look, we'll leave him on loan until the summer. And put another loan deal in place so that if things don't work out over the summer, he can go back on loan for another season. Chelsea have made a career out of this, sending players on loan for a season with an option of a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. There's that one striker, I can't remember his name. Forget him. You know the one I mean, don't you know exactly?
Lucas Piers on, who's been to
that's the Badger. That's the guy. Yeah, he's been out 10 times, and some of them come back better players and some of them don't. But when you spend 27 million on a kid and then you leave him in our reserves, Bellerin is another one. Everyone, I don't watch.
Do you think it's too many chefs at the top, at the level, with too many miscommunication with what's expected and everything like that? They've given too much to Arteta too early, maybe, which did surprise us.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
there's a risk.
They've got rid of so many people.
I get that, but because they've got rid of so many people, there's no real hierarchy, so they're all kind of just all pitching in, which sounds great theoretically, but maybe there is a fault in that where there's a miscommunication or Chinese whispers where we're going to not we're not going to put Saliba out for loan again. Oh, but we're not using him in the first team.
I think they had to.
Lack of accountability, for sure.
I think they had to give Arteta full reins, didn't they? They couldn't sort of go half and half.
No. And I think also you look at like the ownership, and whilst I've praised them on the pod by saying that they are starting to invest, which is great and was what we've asked for a long, long time. But from reading that piece by The Athletic, if you have a chance to read it, it came across very much like still they are kind of just overseers, and they just like sign things off. If Edu or Arteta says it's the right thing to do, then they do it. But Arsenal are now getting rid of so much infrastructure, of Husfami going, with Raul Sanyehi going, with Brian McDermott and Francis Kajigao, and all of these different scouts and different parts that within the club are going. There are less people making decisions, which is in a way good, because it means it's quicker to get these decisions across the line, and we're more proactive in the market at times. But it also means that there are less opinions and less points of view when it comes down to decisions, and also when it comes down to Arteta. If he does something that looks a bit weird and he can't see it, there's not other people that are there to say, hang on a second, mate, is that the right thing to do? You've got this young kid, Saliba. You persisted with Mustafi, even though he's likely going to leave in the summer. Should we chuck him into a few games? There's probably not enough people that are telling him to do that. So I think that there are obviously pros and cons to this streamlining section. I think there are honestly more pros than there are cons right now. And obviously it's horrible seeing people lose their jobs. And you have to, at the end of the day, move on from that moral point of view to look ahead to what ultimately is best for the club. But you look at what's going to happen, I think, over the next year, 18 months or so at the club, with what's going to happen with who else might come in from an infrastructure level. If the club are apparently looking at bringing in a senior figure in terms of like that, not the Raul Sanyehi that involved, but they're looking at getting someone in at that kind of level at the club again. I would pray for someone like Ralph Rangnick, but I don't think it would be that kind of figure. I don't think that would be too much power that they're looking to bring in, but someone they want to bring in that kind of capacity. So it'll be interesting to see what changes, but ultimately Arteta does need to focus on the team. But as we've just pointed out there, he does kind of need a second opinion at times. And is he going to get that from his... I don't know if you feel this way, but I look at his coaches and I just feel that I just get a bit of a yes man feeling around them.
Yep, 100%. Yeah. Nobody questioning. That's
a little bit
what I liked about the. It's what I liked
Just
about
like under
the
the Wenger days. Wenger had yes men, didn't he?
Yeah.
To a degree, but Pat Rice was not a shrinking violet. If he thought Arsene was talking shit, he wouldn't say it publicly.
But he would. We continue to decline. So.
Yeah, exactly. I think a good number two is good in more ways than one. And the chap who under Unai Emery, the chap in the shorts, Caicedo, was it Caicedo? Yeah, I mean he was always quite a demonstrative presence on the touchline, wasn't he? And for all of the successes, you look at the Ferguson era, the number two played such a pivotal role, and I do. I'm not saying I'm sure Steve Brown does a great job, but I agree with Tom. He does strike me as a bit of a yes sir, no sir, three bags full.
He's very happy to be there.
Yeah, and that
he's got that very happy to be there kind of thing. Mike. I may have said a couple of things on my CV that aren't quite correct, and I got a fantastic job. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not put a foot wrong. Sorry, but he's not stepped out from the shadows. He's just sitting behind Arteta, agreeing with the decisions being made.
Ultimately, when you're the manager of any football club at whatever level, if it's kicking around a park or if it's at the very top level of the game, you ultimately make the decisions. Like, it doesn't matter what your assistant says. Ultimately, you will make the decision. But it's just nice occasionally. Sorry to use a Sunday League analogy, but I always hated it I liked having an assistant manager because it was someone else to fill up the water bottles and someone else to do the team sheets while I was still whatever. But also occasionally, and hopefully none of them are watching this, occasionally my assistant manager would go, "Oh, have you thought about, trying this formation? Have you thought about that?" And to their face, I'd be like, no, I'm playing it my way. We're doing it this way. That's it. Yeah. Fuck off. Not interested. Secretly, I'd go home in the bath that night, sit there and go, I'm going to play three at the back tomorrow. And I'm going to just say it was all my idea. Because you do. You're not going to come out and go, do you know what? Actually, that's a really good idea. Because then it makes you look weak and it makes you look like you didn't come up with that yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. We wouldn't know if somebody was saying to Arteta, "Look, have you tried this?" So he could take all the credit, So I do wonder, what's happened to Per? Like, he's gone so quiet, hasn't he? Since he's sort of moved up, we don't hear anything from him anymore.
We'd like to speak out about.
I don't know. Maybe just another. Yeah, exactly.
Do you think Steve Bold?
What about David O'Leary? Would he not be an option? Steve Bold. I don't even.
You don't think
he would cut the grass these days, or?
Well, he had some issues going on personally. That's the reason why he stepped down.
Was it? Okay, fair enough.
It was gay. He was trying to get out of the limelight. I think family divorce and stuff like that. That's
fair enough. Then that's fair
so
enough.
he wanted to take a step back. That's the reason why the Ljungberg switcheroo happened. But do you think Steve Boldman, that's an internal switch, depending on his current circumstances? I don't know if they've got any better, but do you think he could maybe be able to be, stand up to Arteta and be able to, give alternative ideas, like you were saying?
I don't think Arteta would stand for that, to be honest. That's the problem.
Do you think there's more? Well, then, do you think there's more to it about the Ljungberg thing than, the fact that he says he had to step away because he wants to take it to the next level? Do you think? I think there was. He looked invested, like he wanted to hang around, but I don't think Arteta wants anybody that's. Ljungberg's going to be. He's Ljungberg. He's Freddie Ljungberg. Do you know what I mean? Everyone remembers and loves Freddie. Do you think that was, slight jealousy and worry that the limelight would be put on him like it was for a short period? Because we gave him.
He's not got another job, has he?
No, that's it. That's it. I think there's more to it. I think there's definitely more to it. I think the not the board level, obviously, because it doesn't really exist anymore, but. The system, the hierarchy system at Arsenal, I think there's a lot of things going on behind closed doors that's probably going and spreading out onto the pitch with that sort of negative outlook. Maybe I don't know what's going on, but it's not pleasant. Obviously, there's been a lot of chops and changes, even with the Gunnersaurus situation, and then Ozil doing what he did, and then you can't do right from wrong, and everyone's just getting at each other's throats, and everyone's just trying to be as negative as possible. Nobody looks at a situation and tries to see the positives. It all just gets a little bit much, and it makes you think what's going on behind closed doors if this is going on right in front of our faces.
Right.
It's interesting how Man City have changed since Arteta's gone, though, isn't it? That's the only other thing I would say in terms of, because a lot of people said that he didn't get the credit he deserved when he was working with Pep, and I don't know who the new assistant is, but you don't really hear about the work that's being done. Like, it almost, watching Man City at the moment, it almost feels like Pep's got too much going on, and he hasn't got enough. It's almost like he keeps turning, going, "What do you think, Nketiah?" Oh, he's not there anymore. It's almost like he could do with him. So there's obviously a lot of good things, but it's just not quite.
Tom's got to go in a second because it's his missus has been kind enough to pause the show or delay the playing of the Bake Off for quite no adverts. Tom, we've done you a favour. One amazing stat, my favourite stat of the season, yet again. Here you go in our thing there. I've put Tom's channel. It's the Gooners Talk TV.
Cheers,
it's one of my three favourite Arsenal. Well, one of my four. It's the Gooners Talk TV. Same old Arsenal. Those twats in America that don't know what the fuck they're doing, and the Highbury squad. And I think that's the main four I watch at the moment. Oh, I watch a bit of Harry as well. And obviously Owen, but Owen's just as a newborn podcast, and so is the Not Another Arsenal podcast. There's so much good stuff out there at the moment. But my favourite stat of the season was from your bloke last night, who I've just been and look, Cochrane. He said last season Arsenal conceded 14 goals from set pieces. This season, we're the only team to concede 0 goals from set pieces, Tom. What do you make of that?
It's impressive. I think it is one of the clear things that obviously we are improving on. I think it's one of those stats. It's like I said right at the beginning of the show. I disagree when people say that we are still regressing, because if you look at the comparative fixtures that we've played this season compared to last season, we're 2 points better off and we're 2 goal difference better off as well. And I think that there is that emphasis on moving forwards. I just think that ultimately it's going to be a bit shit for a bit. Like it's going to be a bit tepid for quite a bit, and we may just have to be okay with that for a little bit. But if it does persist to the point where it's getting ridiculous, I'll hold my hands up and be like, I was wrong. It was always going to be like this, and I was just leading a hopeful life. But yeah, I'm fingers.
You can't be
crossed.
wronged for that. You know what I mean? Trying to be positive. Yeah. Tom, you told me some things tonight that I didn't really know about. I'm going to be, hold my hands up and say that I've gotten so frustrated with Arsenal recently. I lost my shit. Streaming today, playing as Arsenal on Football Manager and losing the season on the last game. I lost my shit, and maybe it wasn't just and I rage quit. I completely turned off the show. I was just like, I've lost it. It's the negativity of the IRL Arsenal, and it's the negativity of that, and it kind of just drips down. But you've told me some great things tonight. But you want to be proven wrong. You know what I mean? If you're in a negative mindset, and to have a positive mindset with what's going on right now, I think it's refreshing and it's needed with a fan base that's it's not like this is a new song being played on the radio. We've been playing this song for many years. You hear it all the time. Oh, the Arsenal fan base. Oh, blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, but we've been like this for a while because we're always frustrated and we're always expecting more. And it's relative. It's my favourite word of the world is relative. It's all relative.
Too much.
Yeah, I say that word all the time. I live and breathe with that word. But it's relative, man. Let's try and, as Tom said, let's try and be more positive. But there's going to be a moment when it's. I think all the cards are going to be laid out on the table. I tried to think of like a food analogy, but I couldn't, so I'm going to go for a poker one. All the cards are going to be laid out on the table, and we're going to see exactly what hands were played. And we'll find out if Arteta did the right decision with the Saliba, Ozil, and every other situation with the Willian Bellerin situation. Everyone held to different standards. Who knows? It might work out. It might not, but we'll see.
Right, Tom, you've got to go now. Thank you very much for your time. Tell people where they can find you on the Twitters and the YouTubings.
Yeah, at the Gooner Talk TV on Twitter. Find us on YouTube, and you get some good stuff, daily content, and
you're blogging. You're 101.
Oh yes, I'm full time writing now at 101 Great Goals. So check those guys out, and some interesting stuff. There was a great story today about Dennis, who plays for Club Brugge, not going to the Dortmund game because he didn't get his favourite seat on the team bus, so he refused to go. So check that story out because it's quite funny. But yeah, it's been a pleasure to speak to you, guys, and an absolute honour to be back again on the platform. So appreciate your time, guys.
Cheers, Tom. It's great to have you back.
Cheers, Tom.
See you later, guys. Have a good one.
Lovely to meet you, mate.
See you later. Bye.
You too. See you later.
There you go. You can go and find Tom at the Gooner Talk TV on YouTube, one of my favourite YouTube channels. And I'm not just saying that because he was here, because I'm saying it when he's gone. Right, gentlemen, should we do some questions?
Sounds like a fantastic idea.
If you cheeky monkeys have got any questions that you would like to... hold on, I've got to highlight something else now. There you go. I'll go and do Tony's and then get rid of it. There we go. He's gone. Need to put the banner up for another quick mention for the lovely people at manscaped.com. Got hairy balls? Go to manscaped.com, use the code Bergkamp, get their shaver thing, and then use it, and you won't have hairy balls anymore. No one wants hairy balls unless you're really fat like me, and you've got no choice because I've not seen them since the 70s. Sad times. Right, so we're going to go. If you've got any more questions, put them in the chat box. I might answer them. I've been making notes here. And first question is from Call Me Puban. From Twitch. What do you guys think will, in quotes, save and put Arsenal back on top? Deacon, what do you reckon? I think he's one of your lot, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He
sounds like a scumbag.
He's an old follower. He's been following the channel since like 2017, but he's popped back in. They always change their names, and I'm like, and they're like, "Oh, Deacon, how are you?" I'm like, "How are
one
you?"
of my fucking hates that is we have got here Travis. He's a different name in our WhatsApp group.
Yeah,
every bloody thing.
Can you just keep it? Jesus Christ!
Jesus.
Anyway,
one of the worst is Tony. He's got 46 accounts. One of them's Big Bunny Kane. I think that's him. I don't know. Go on, answer the question. I'll shut up.
We all know the answer to this, don't we? Creativity. We've got some structure and solidarity in the back, which is absolutely incredible. But Arteta can't micromanage. We need people that have got the ability to make decisions on their own and being able to have the permission to do that. It doesn't say Danny Ceballos has been playing well, but he's very much, he's just kind of just been chucked in and fitted in as best as possible because we couldn't find a better alternative. I don't think if we signed a creative player, I don't think that Danny Ceballos would be possibly coming back for a second season. Who knows? But creativity, we don't have anyone that can kind of transfer the ball from the mid to the attackers. We don't have that. We're playing Aubameyang out on the left. We're playing Pepe out on the right. Neither of those guys are known for being able to carry the ball very well. You don't want Aubameyang to try and dribble through 2 or 3 players. Yeah, he's a tall, athletic guy that cuts in from the left-hand side, but he's not Thierry Henry. He hasn't got that ball quality. That's not what we signed him for. We signed him for being that killer instinct finishing quality that he's got. To not think too much, just bury the ball in the back of the net. And Pepe, we signed him from a very counter-attacking team, and we're trying to use him in a possession-based, structured, where you have to be creative, but in very simplistic terms. And we're expecting those guys to be the guys that carry the ball through to Lacazette, who's been woefully out of form. So creativity, and creativity. That's what we need.
Good answer.
And we needed
Kris.
it. We needed it just as much as we needed to sign Partey, someone to sit in the middle of the park. Both of them were screaming urgencies. It could have gone either way. We could have signed someone creative, or we could have signed someone like Partey. But we need both. We need both.
Kris, I'm sure that's a good answer. Kris, I'm sure you've got to go soon. So, however, how soon you go, it depends on how quickly you answer the questions. Which,
I just agree. I just agree.
You can't agree to this one. Richard Garrett says, "But Kris, how is Pat doing at Nice?
Nice.
He's working at the Nice biscuit factory in Boulogne.
He's not doing very well. Is the truth. He's not really impressing many, and it's a shame. Myself and Jeremy of the French Football Weekly podcast are both. We've been discussing this on our pod recently. We both are a little bit gutted that we have to say this, but he's not been doing very well. His transition from MLS, where he managed New York City and looked like a sort of up and coming manager. Even some talk that he would be in the frame for the job before Mikel and Freddie before him came in. But this is the first season where he's had pretty much the players he wanted to sign. He's had financial backing. He's had free reign to do everything that he wants, and Nice are not particularly performing. They lost 6-1 in the Europa League a few weeks ago to Leverkusen, which is never good. They lost to Slavia Prague as well, and their Liga form has been very, very patchy. So, unfortunately, so far not so good. Things can change, of course, but he's not doing very well at the moment.
How's Thierry doing in Canada land?
He's not doing too bad, actually. Yeah, he took the Montreal Impact to the playoffs. I believe they went out first stage, but he's still fairly fresh to the job. But I think he's impressed quite a lot of people in his short time there. So, and I hope it works out for Thierry. I think it's a good job for him to have to cut his teeth. I think other jobs were a bit too soon for him. Monaco was far too soon for him at that level of experience.
Like Arteta seems to be Arsenal's a bit too soon for Arteta, possibly.
I mean, potentially still a bit early to say, but yeah, could be.
I'm fully behind Arteta and everything that he does. I don't think the only thing he can do wrong is William.
And to the side.
That might well go. Deacon, is Rick D89 one of your lot?
He is.
Oh, here we go. Question.
Hello, Arsenal boy as well.
Oh, good.
And we call him on the Discord. On the Dryland Discord, we call him the god of tactics, because the guy he needs to be nerfed on Football Manager. He's just playing him on a fantasy draft on Football Manager it's pointless. You might as well just give up if Rick's in it. The guy's just unbelievable. So some Maestro put down in a little bit afterwards. He says, we should get Rick to pick the tactic for Arsenal. But what was the question? Sorry.
He says, do you think we have to drop the 3-4-3? If so, what formation should we be playing?
Yes, I think that we should be dropping that. I think that we've showed in a few occasions that we can play a 4 at the back, and that gives that extra opportunity to stick a man in the middle of the park. We played Willock in the pocket apparently we played Willock in the pocket, and it was good. He was chasing the ball down, but he's not got that creative pass that we're lacking. I like Willock. He frustrates me in times, but you want him to succeed. You want him to do well. He's one of the young lads. But I think we could definitely go back into. I don't know whether we'd go back into maybe a guy sitting in the number 10 role, because I don't know, football maybe, who knows, football might be going back in that direction. But playing out from the back is important. But I think we've got the quality in the centre back between Gabriel and Holding to be able to transition that ball out. And then we don't have to rely too much on Tierney and Bellerin to do so much down the wings. There's only so much they can do and do the overlap. So yeah, I definitely think we could do something with just a back 4. What happens after that, I don't know. Maybe even 2 in the middle of the park and then 2 up front. Like a 4-2-2. There's loads. We're not. It's not, football's not one dimensional. We can do so many different things. It doesn't have to be. So at one point, somebody said, "Let's do 5 at the back or 3 at the back with pushed up wing backs." Somebody said that one day, and then they did that. We could do something a little bit different and be the leaders in that regard. We need creativity. We don't have it. Let's try and create a formation where it gives us that little bit more leeway to be able to give more players the opportunity to be creative if we don't have that overall person that can do it all himself.
Good answer. Right. Another question from Phil Macker, Kris, from our YouTubings. Is Arteta being naive with his tactics or simply overcompensating for a defence that he doesn't trust by having the entire team defend? I miss us shooting and scoring. I think he's saying, should we shoot more?
Should we shoot more? Yeah. I mean, I think
we're not creating enough chances to shoot more.
Yeah. I think we've sort of covered that, haven't we, in terms of tonight's
we're just
overall. But yeah, I think structured is one word. Another word I use is rigid. We look very clunky. We don't really flow. That I know that we can't hark back to the Invincibles, but you watch some of the football that we played back then. Not so much how we played in terms of the setup and the 4-4-2. It's a different game, of course, but the speed of the counter-attacks. That's what I miss. It's the speed, the transition from back to front at speed. And I don't like admitting it, but Liverpool is probably the closest I've seen in terms of the Premier League to that style of play where they just move the ball so fast from one end to the other. Leicester to a certain degree, but let's not give Brendan Rodgers any credit. But yeah, that's what I miss. And to use a Wengerism, it's taking the handbrake off, isn't it? That's kind of what we need to do.
Hey.
I love a classic quote. I love a classic quote.
I guess if I was Mikel, as I sort of sat there with an orange juice at night, I think I would just maybe be thinking to myself, what's the worst that could happen? I've got a pretty good defence, barring that absolute calamity against Villa at home. We shouldn't really be conceding more than 1 or 2 goals a game. We might actually outscore some teams. Why not let loose a little bit? So maybe a little bit more of the Europa League isms into the Premier League for me. But yeah, that's my only sort of thought on it, really.
Jeez, I know it was a complicated answer. Right, Julian Salmondo, our Colombian correspondent from Discordio, he's got 2 questions. One, a quick yes or no or fuck no from either of you. He says, if Poch intimated a desire to manage Arsenal, would you take it? Well, Kris says no. I say fuck off. Deacon?
Mr. One Fuck all.
It's a tricky one.
Get your vegetables ready, Kris. We might need to chuck some in.
He's tainted, but I wouldn't say. I'd have to look at it. I wouldn't say no. I'd have to look at it. Who knows? Who knows what will happen? I wouldn't say no. I'm not a no.
Julian's other half of the question is just for you, Deacon. He says, actually, you can both. I want a quick answer from both of you. Start with you, Deacon. What price would be acceptable, Kris? Hold on to your seat. To sell Pepe if an offer came in for him in January, possibly back to France, personally, anything around £25 million.
I'd say 35. No, nothing less than 35. 40,
Kris?
35, yeah.
I wouldn't sell him. End of story.
We'd make some of our money back if we did 35 to 40 million. We'd make some of them. We didn't pay 72 million up front. We're paying that over 5 years. So we've paid 30 odd million thus far, maybe 40. So if we can do 35, 40 million pounds, we've kind of, we'll scrub it. We'll chalk it off.
Stick with him. As I said before, it's not the player, it's the system.
No, we know that.
It's not the player, it's the system.
But what's going to change first?
I mean, if we're not going to utilise him the right way, then we might as well give him to Barnet for a season. So there is
imagine that.
They need it. Barnet have had a tough time. I went to Barnet at the start of last season. They were in a tough time back then, even.
And now they're heading towards the bottom of the conference, and we don't need the Mighty Bees to go back down into the Conference South.
No, we really don't.
I lived in Barnet for years. Gutted about that.
I've been
and as for Pochettino, oh hell no. I'm sorry. Again, me and Jez fell out with this on our French pod, and because we were talking about his PSG links, and Jez said that I was being very biased towards my love for Arsenal when I said that he's literally got no CV. He has got literally no CV. I'm sorry. This aura around this guy. So he brought through a few young players at Southampton. Well done. That's your fucking job. Well done. Sorry, no. Okay, he plays pretty football. Well, yeah, and you've got to actually win something. He also bottled the biggest chance he'll ever have of winning a trophy on the biggest stage. Nah. Fraud.
Deke, is this one of yours, the Starkey?
It's another Arsenal drylander, yeah.
This person says, because he's got a woman in the thing, and I don't want to assume. This bloke says, I would even go for buy one, get one free. When they buy Bellerin, they get Pepe for free.
100%. 100. No, but no. I just think there's better options out there. Everybody knows most of the drylanders, well, all of the drylanders know about my opinion on Bellerin. I think there's better options out there. Paying him 110 grand a week. He plays
a lot of vegetables.
He buys a lot of vegetables. He's invested in Forest Green Football Club. If you don't know that already,
the only
fully vegan football club, which was quite funny. But I'm not a big fan of Bellerin. Haven't been for many, many years. I just think there's better options out there that we could get someone young and promising. As I said earlier on in the pod, Max Aarons. I still don't understand why we didn't just take a punt on him. Freshly relegated Norwich. I know they get kind of like a parachute package. Relegated clubs that go down into the Championship to try and keep hold of their players so they can kind of bounce back up instantly. But we could have put in a cheeky bid and see what was going on in that regard.
For 25 million.
I would have, look at Tierney. I'm not saying that they're the same player, but we didn't bat an eyelid when we signed Tierney for 25 million pounds. We thought it was a brilliant signing. I think we should have sniffed around a little bit more openly, because we don't know, it might have gone on behind closed doors, but try and unsettle him. I thought it's just the way of the world. It's the way of football. Do a bit of headhunting and try and unsettle him and see if Max Aarons would be interested in coming to the club.
And if you want more of Deacon going on about this, I've put his link up on the channel. But if you're listening to this on your earbuds, hello, go to Twitch and look for Deacon Entertainment, all one word, DEACON Entertainment.
It's written there on that.
But the people on iTunes can't see that.
Oh, okay. It's written behind me. It's very lovely.
Just go and find him, and then you'll be able to find out what it says. It's behind him.
Yes.
Right. Next question is going to be from. How much longer have you two got? Because we've got about another 6 questions.
I'm all good. It's up to Chris, but I'm all good for the evening.
Yeah, if we can rattle through those last 6, that's fine.
Fingers crossed, people. This isn't going to fucking happen. Right. Matthew D'Souza from YouTubing says for you, Chris, should it be Arteta's job to maximise Pepe's talent, knowing that if Pepe fails, it's a huge burden on the club? Oh, I like that question.
I like it, but it's a very difficult one to answer because there's so many different parts to it, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of moving parts. You don't build your whole team around one player just because he's been really expensive.
But should he feel obliged to, because the amount of money the club are in debt for it?
I think he should have been given far more opportunities than he has been given. That's what I would say. If you look back at ever since we've signed him, he's never had a clear run in the team consistently over many weeks, months. Sometimes you just have to say to a player, we'll put you in the team. You don't say this publicly, but behind closed doors, you say, look, I'm going to give you 5, 6, 7, 8 games, whatever. Obviously, you're going to work hard. Obviously, you've got to do your job, but I'm going to put you in the team and we're going to play to your strengths. And weirdly, there's a weird thing with Arteta is he's done it with someone like Alex Lacazette, who, as much as I love him, and I do love him, I can't deny he's out of form. People saying, oh, he's shit. Well, he's clearly not shit, is he? He was our player of the year 2 seasons ago. Let's not be idiots. But he is out of form. He does look heavy. He does look heavy-legged. He does struggle with 90 minutes and not making 90 minutes. So after a while, you have to say enough's enough. You take him out of the team. That happened against Leeds. With Pepe, it would be like, oh, we'll put him in for 2 games. Oh, well, he hasn't scored 7 goals and set up 14, so we'll drop him for 3 weeks. Give the guy a proper run. Aubameyang is a prime example. And again, he proved me wrong because I had my concerns when we spent the money we did to get him. But he was put into the team and he's remained in the team no matter what. And sorry if this is going to offend people, but he's been pretty bloody abysmal for about 2 months. So,
who has?
And I know he's our Aubameyang, and I know he's our captain,
yes,
and
correct.
And I know without him we would probably be relegated by now.
Is it 2 in 9 in the league?
What,
2 in 9?
Yeah, I think all season. Yeah, and again, there's a lot of caveats. Performance of the team, players playing around him, positions, and all those things that go with. But at the same time, he still has been pretty awful. And he still gets in the team regardless. So I just would have liked to have seen Pepe given a proper run of games, and I still think he needs a proper run. Unfortunately, given the sort of character that Mikel is, and given what happened on Sunday, I have a horrible feeling that he will now be condemned to the I was going to say UEFA Cup and the Europa League teams for the next 3 weeks, and he'll probably just be back to the bench on.
It's going to be a snowball. It's going to be a snowball.
Yeah, and his value is decreasing.
We're shooting ourselves in foot in that situation.
Yeah.
Is there a more beautiful sight than seeing Pepe run at defenders and taking on 3 at a time as they all shit themselves?
Yeah, but we don't see it enough. Do you remember Anfield last year when he basically took on the entire Liverpool defence? Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, I was there.
Oh, didn't he? Wasn't he the first person to do the best defender the world's ever known? Didn't he turn him inside out and make him look like an idiot?
Yeah.
Good God, I remembered something from a show, a game. Film.
And what was so good about that run? Because we were playing on the counter-attack at speed, and we were going at Liverpool on the counter-attack at speed. Something we just don't ever do anymore.
Quick question for Deek from Tony Big Bunny Kane. I think that's him. I'm sure that is that you, Bunny? I'm never sure. He says, I'm too old for game streams. Do you podcast? Well, I would say it's not just a gaming stream. He doesn't just sit there and play. He sits there and has a moan and he interacts. And I often have him on for 2 or 3 hours in the background while I'm not even watching. I'm just
a lot of the time I'm playing Football Manager. If you don't know what Football Manager is, it's a database game. It's a numbers game. You sit there and you pretend to be Mikel Arteta. You can play the game as little or as much as you want, and you can try and create the Arsenal team that you want. I've got Benacer in my centre mid area alongside Partey. Great signing he was. But yeah, but I also do a podcast. I'm part of Walk and Talk, which is a men's mental health charity. We do one every single Wednesday, 8 p.m. So yes, Maestro's put it in. So if you're interested in hearing lads just talking about trying to be more positive and getting together and breaking down the barriers of men talking about their thoughts and feelings whilst having a moan about football as well, then we do that. Walk and Talk. We're on Twitch as well as YouTube as well. Just Walk and Talk. You can find us MMH. You'll find us.
Thunder Road says, and if we do another mental health one, then Deek's going to come and join us for it. I can't do it because I'm lucky enough I don't suffer from anything other than delusion, and I don't think there should be a podcast on people being delusional. Thunder says, if Pepe leaves, Kris, will Arsenal supporters do that lame salute as he goes off into the distance, giving it honky-honk?
The poor bugger hasn't had the opportunity to do his celebration for so freaking long. I don't think anyone will do, at least him. So, yeah,
right, next question.
Bless him.
From Big Bunny Kane from our Discord, I think it's him. It could be one of a million different accounts. For you, Kris, does anyone have a platform with Arteta saying, does anyone have a problem? Not platform? What the fuck? How does that say platform, you fucking idiot? Does anyone have a problem with Arteta saying how it is about Pepe? If so, why? I think the Utes call it. He called him out, didn't he?
Yeah. I as I said earlier on in the pod, I didn't like that. I didn't like it. I didn't like no problem with the whole it was unacceptable behaviour, because you do that in a press conference, that's fine. Pepe's come out on Instagram and apologised, which is a very token gesture these days. Players do that anyway, and I'm sure he would have been briefed to.
You were trying to remember what he said. You were trying to remember what he said. Basically, the team reacted well when Pepe let them down, or something like that.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
I thought that's what you were trying to get at. Yeah.
That to me, that's not good man management, because that is essentially saying that as a result of one person's actions, we didn't win the game. And that isn't good enough for me, because, again, I don't want to sort of drag it back to Mesut, but it's all right for the club to come out and defend Pepe, rightfully so, with the abuse that he took as a result of some of those comments. But yet they didn't want to defend Mesut. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's that double standard. Different
strokes for different folks. Everyone's allowed to do certain things.
Yeah.
Way too many rules for different people.
Exactly.
Ozil's been scapegoated this year once again.
And I think Tierney had a bit of a reaction, didn't he, as well? Nothing was made of that. And again, I got no issue with that. He was pissed off, and Alioski was an absolute thunder cunt of a twat for reacting the way he did. But unfortunately, you've got to be smarter than that, and you've got to not react to little trolls who belong in the Championship. But he reacted. He did wrong. I felt like Mikel could have just come out and said one of those party lines, Nico knows he's done wrong, and we were disappointed, and he made the wrong choice. something like that. You don't need to say, well, basically because he did this, we couldn't then kick on and try and win the game.
We know that. I get. We know that. We know that we didn't kick on and go and win the game with what happened. But I think it's just spoken from frustration. I think it's just spoken from. We all feel it. It's just he's got the job where he has to try and sometimes mask his emotion, and I think he's obviously still learning that. And as I said, that goes into the point again. I think we've given Arteta too much to think and do in such a short period of time. He hasn't grown into the role. He's been just gone. Good luck.
Yeah.
Kris, are you a bit of a Plymouth fan?
Not really. I mean, I try and support as best I can in my local.
Are they your
area,
lower league English team?
Well, I don't really have a lower league English team, if I'm honest. They're my local team. Let's put it that way.
Well, you keep putting pictures up of them. So tonight it was the ABW League One derby. Peterborough beat Plymouth 1-0.
Yeah, I know. When have I ever put? I've put a couple of pictures up when I've run past Home Park. I've never put pictures of Argyle up ever.
We have no room for facts on this podcast.
Facts with 3 X's. Yeah.
Shut your face. Right. Question for you, Deek, from our very own Ginger Josh, the human translucent what's it called? The slime.
This could go anywhere.
Where are you going with this?
The slime. We were puddles with slime, weren't we? Primordial
soup.
That's it.
Lord.
So Josh is basically that. Well, he won't deny it. He says,
I'm pretty sure he will.
He fucking won't. He says, is Deek a big fan of Deacon Blue?
Give me a minute, I'll find out. I have no idea. Deacon Blue is Scottish pop rock? No, I have no idea. Probably not. Good,
they're shit. Fuck 'em.
Okay, brilliant.
Right, a proper question for you from Das Vishnu Red from YouTube says, is time up for Xhaka?
Is this for me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Time up for Xhaka. Once again, he has his qualities. I don't know. Xhaka's a difficult one. He really is. He's a really tricky one. We don't have it. It's that thing again. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. We don't have creative players. Don't then kick out someone who's got a fantastic passing range. Okay, maybe, he hasn't got the legs to get around the midfield, but, that's what we signed Partey for, wasn't it? I think keep using him until we find something better that fits more with our system, with what Arteta's doing with being structured. But I think Xhaka's just another Giroud. We've signed and a Pepe. We've signed players that just don't fit in our system. We're just playing a completely different type of football. It's whether that player can adapt and try and get the best out of a bad situation like Giroud did for many years. I think we gave too much flack to Giroud over the years. I flipping love Olivier Giroud, still do. Kind of massively gutted when we lost him, and he still proves it on a basis coming off the bench for Chelsea. For now, Xhaka, keep him around. Yeah, 100%. I think we've forgotten about the FU to the fans. We've just got moved on. We've moved on with that. We're adults. We'll move on from that. And anybody else who's still talking about that, I think they've got better things to fry. They should have better things to fry about. For now, use Xhaka. But if we find someone else who can do something better in the position with maybe that fits with what Arteta wants in the long run, then so be it.
Very good. Right. A question that I've got. There's a couple of. I was listening to the Ornstein pod, which is just propaganda for the Athletic, as far as I'm concerned. And he was saying that Giroud is going to go. He was linked with, as we know, Juventus in the summer. They wanted someone lanky. And what? You?
Oh, that's me going Giroud. Come here. Bring your sexy beard.
Would both of you have Giroud back? I mean, also Mario Balotelli's on a free. I'd have them both.
I know he is. He's a Mario Balotelli is on a free. As is Jackie Boy. As is Jackie Boy. I've said it for a while. I'd like to bring Jackie Boy on Jackie Wilshere. Jack Wilshere.
I'd bring the King home, and
I'd bring him back on a pay-to-play basis. I think he would bite at the chance to come and play for the Arsenal on a pay-to-play basis.
He'd play for nothing.
I think so as well. To have someone in and around the dress, I don't think it's you sign Jack Wilshere to have someone that's going to be a leader on the pitch as much as he might do if he did come on in certain instances. But it would feel like to fans that there was an Arsenal fan inside the dressing room in certain situations. Drive home to the players what things mean, because we're in a situation now where we're not playing. These aren't football clubs anymore. These are franchises. I think we this is another conversation for us. This is a very long conversation. We've stepped away from the, when we got bought, we know loads of people got bought out and lost their season tickets. Or no, sorry, not the season tickets. Their
bonds,
or their, well, I can't think of the words. Where they own a part of share. So thank you. Sorry, share. You saw people on their Twitter handles. It was like our fourth, second generation, third generation shareholder. It meant something because we were involved. We were invested in the club on an emotional and financial level. But now it's not like that. It's very cold and calculated. And there was many instances, like for example, last season when Leno got injured. Was it last season? Yeah, it was last season. Yeah. When Leno got injured. And not one single Arsenal player seemed to give a shit, apart from Leno. He was the only one who actually went, what you done was bang out of order. Football's still the only sport, like rugby and stuff like that. If you tackle someone in midair, that's considered dangerous conduct. In football, it's still kind of like, I'm still going for the ball, whatever. But God forbid if something worse happened to Leno, and obviously Martinez, thank God he turned into an absolute god. But that situation could have completely crippled our season. We all thought that was going to be the case, but not one single Arsenal player did or said anything. And Jack Wilshere will be the guy to hammer it home to you on the touchline or in the dress or at halftime to go, mate. You need to sort it out. I know the fans are going to be really pissed at you. Sort it out. You need to be playing for the cannon. You need to be playing for the cannon. 100%.
Josh, the translucent shit. Bring Jenko back if we want a fan. No one even give him the
had a
time
cross
of
on
day.
him. He had a cross on him. He had a cross on him.
Can we? And Bunny Kane says, "Can we get Jenko back and do to do the Vic Hackers job?"
Little Vic in the ages.
Oh Jesus! Right, I've got one final question. Oh no, don't we got two?
So yeah, I'd bring Giroud back. That was the original question. I'd bring Giroud back.
Would you have him back, Kris? Yes or no?
Oh, yeah, 100%. He's France's best striker. End of story.
He is. Yeah.
Good. Right, shush. Question for you, from both of you, yes or no? From Richard Garrett from the YouTubing. Do you think it's time Arteta asks Bergkamp to be his assistant manager? I'd like to see it. It's not going to happen.
It's never going to happen. So it's a moot point, unfortunately. But yeah,
Bergkamp's going to tell Arteta how it is. Arteta doesn't want that.
No. Dennis will get a job at some point sooner rather than later, and it'll make me sad when it's not with us.
I agree. Orpheus Jones from YouTube. I don't know who I'm going to give this to yet. Thoughts on Xhaka at the end of the game? Fair enough ushering Tierney away, but then to go on and hug Alioski is unacceptable. I think that riled Tierney up more. Now, I think it was Thunder Road put in the chat. There might have been some earlier. He said that Alois is from North Macedonia, which is next to Albania, which Xhaka is Albanian, although he plays for Switzerland. His brother plays for Albania. And they both come through as young men playing in the Swiss league. And so you've got all those things mixed up. So maybe he was trying to keep the peace. But personally, I'd have set Tierney on him.
Don't care. Do that down the tunnel. Your opponents on the pitch. Do that down the tunnel.
I didn't see it. I genuinely didn't see it.
I didn't see it either, but if that's what happened, do it down the tunnel. Do things like that. That happens. That goes to my point with the Brighton game. It doesn't feel like the Arsenal players actually know what it means to play for the Arsenal, it means to carry the cannon, and the fans see that, and we react.
And it's funny how Guendouzi was lambasted for showing a bit of a grit and a bit of nastiness and a bit of dickhead.
It happened, but the problem is it's because it happened after. It happened at the end of the game. It didn't happen. If he kicked off when Leno's on the floor, I'd be Guendouzi. I'd be at the front of that queue cheering on Guendouzi. I'd have pom-poms in my hands, giving it large, 2-2 on, like cleavage out, for dollar bills and stuff for the number one Matteo Guendouzi fan base. But it was because it was after the fact, at the end of the game, after the whistle. There was no straight reaction right there and then. I think that's what the issue is. I understand where you're coming from, Kris, but I think it's because when it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. No, okay. I'm not a fan of I think, as you say, it's after a game you deal with that. I would have just let Tierney just go and beat the shit out of him, because I hate that snidey goading opponents into getting sent off. I say you can't defend what Pepe did. He should know better.
Yep.
But I fucking hate that.
Oh, it was twattish what he did, but Pepe should have been smarter, obviously. But we know that we spoke about this a little bit earlier. It was just an overboil. It was an overboard of what's been happening. Something was going to happen. It was brewing for it. He still didn't take the game by the scruff of the neck. You know.
Yeah, agreed.
I think if you go in the UK, we have match of the day. You might be able to go and get it somewhere. And the magnificent Mika, who is a breath of fresh air to those. Why the hell they're sticking with those fucking primordial soup scumbag like Danny? What's his name? Murphy. Get the fuck off the telly. You're too ugly even for radio. You ugly little troll. No, it's not my mouse. It's Kris. My mouse is very.
Sorry.
That's my mouse. He's shit. And Mika Richards said someone did it to me. They showed it. He said I went and got him in the tunnel. I wasn't going to let him get away with it, but I wasn't going to do it on the pitch because I was captain. So Mika Richards, brilliant. Nice beard too.
But that's because he's young, he's English, and he knows what it means to play in this country.
Yeah, and
he knows what it means to the fans, and he knows what it
Scottish.
means to the.
Well, he is English, but Scottish. He's both, isn't he? Isle of Man.
Okay, but
don't tell him
he knows what it means. He knows what it means when he comes over here and plays, and that's why I want Jack Wilshere to come back on a pay-to-play basis to get. It's like having a fan in the room.
Excellent. Right, I think that will do for tonight. So thank you very much to Manscaped. I'm going to mention it again. If you do go to the website manscaped.com, because you've heard up of your hairy balls, your hairy bum, your hairy arse, your hairy feet. In John Welsh's case, he has got hairy feet. He has to usually use a lawnmower. He has to get the council to come around and do his feet. I don't know where I've got that from. That might be secret information. What? Yes, and he's also got a crab ladder, which is a very well-used crab ladder. So I think that's what John's using it for, to keep those crabs out of his belly button. I'm not sure that's the kind of thing that Manscaped wanted us to say, but I said go wild, do whatever you want. Go to manscaped.com, use the code Bergkamp for 20% off. We've already had our Steph has gone and done it, and I think our Femi said he might go and do it, and my one's over there on the table, but I'm too old and arthritic to reach for it, so I'm not going to bother. So go there, use the code, get 20% off. They might even they might do a giveaway if they send us more shit. Then we can. I don't mean shit as in not good quality, more stuff. They might even do a giveaway, and then one of you fucks can be hairless, and you can maybe shave a knacker live on air. That'd be a YouTube first. Apparently, you can get away with some of that shit if you're the right people. Thank you to all of Deacon's people from Dryland who have came in it and joined in and followed and all
thanks,
those
boys.
wonderful things.
I appreciate you know that.
Very good. If you want to go and what's my cut and paste? The next one. Oh, no, that's no good, is it? That's the wrong fucking one. I'm going to go here and seamlessly, I'm going to go here and get Deacon's thing there and select all. Oh, fuck me. You've selected everything in the chat, you prick. Oh, there we go. Fuck
and we're live.
Cut and paste at its absolute finest. There's Deacon's channel. Deacon Entertainment on Twitch. He's also on Twitter. What's your username on Twitter?
I'm Deacon Justified.
And are you justified and ancient?
Yeah, Deacon Justified. Yeah, I justify myself too much. So I thought it was quite a good name.
Only Kris got the justified and ancient thing.
Do you drive an ice cream van though? Yeah.
So go and follow him on Twitter. We'll be back on here again. We've been trying to get him on for a while. And he keeps saying, "I'll come on whenever you want." And I said, "Yeah, I'll get you on." The last 2 years I've been saying that. I never actually said, right.
Yeah, you have been saying it for 2 years.
Only in the last couple of months, I've actually written out the entire list of all the upcoming shows for the whole of the month, and I've been organising them all. And so I will be organising them again coming up. So I shall get you on next month, maybe if you want.
Yeah, sure. I'm available whenever I can moan about the Arsenal any given time. It's relief for me. But I'll also, as you said, Danny, if you do a mental health pod, I'm more than happy to jump on and give my 2 cents on that. I'm an open book with my community. They know when I'm going through some struggles. I like to be there for as many people as humanly possible. There's always someone to talk to.
Good, nice thing to say. And also, there's Kris. Kris, where can people find you on? Thanks very much for joining us tonight, Kris. You've been fantastic. We found out the reason why you've not had your Twitter account back. Is that bloody Trump, isn't it? The Trump has done it. They've been so good. They got an email.
I got an email. Was it 2:00 last night saying, "No, we're aware that we haven't got back to you yet. Sorry about that. If we haven't got back to you within our 14 days, please contact us again." So the 5th email has now gone in to them saying what's going on.
What's happened? I'm sorry, I'm out of the loop on this one.
Oh, I got a DMCA suspension as a result of posting posting some goals from the French league. So good old Twitter immediately banned me. Thanks very much.
I thought I've not seen him in a while. Where's he
Yeah,
gone? And then there we go.
At least 3 people miss me. So sad times. But
So,
maybe I'll be back
apparently
one day.
They've been too busy banning Trump supporters and banning free speech because they're fucking scumbags. I hate them.
Free speech, yeah.
In fact, I hate the people on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You're all
And
fucking
Twitch.
arseholes.
And Twitch.
Are
They're
they
owned by Amazon. Arseholes.
Oh, cool.
Fuck
All
off.
of them.
Yeah. So there we've ended this show on a high, haven't we? Thank you very much, everybody.
Hey! We're getting 3 points on Thursday, and we're getting 3 points on Sunday, lads. That's all I have to say.
Balogun
That's
up
it.
front.
Party
That's all we need
back.
to
We're
see.
gonna have a party in the middle of the park, mate.
And also,
Party in the middle of the park.
This podcast is called No Partey equals No Party. What a shit title. You can thank the translucent shitbag that is Josh for that. And that was the best of them. You should have seen the shit that Ellis was coming up with. Fucking, in fact, it was so bad. I'm going to thank you very much, Manscaped, Bergkamp, 20% off. I'm going to go here, as usual. And last time, Kris, we all gave it a fuck Ellis at the hashtag fuck Ellis at the end. And your one was missed off. So you can end the show, Kris, with our customary ending to a show.
Fuck Ellis.
Would you like to do one, Deacon?
I feel bad. I remember Ellis from back in the day.
He's a
He used
scumbag.
to-
He spends all day saving lives.
I don't know if this is the same Ellis that used to be around with my the Arsenal with my blood pod, and all of that stuff.
No, this is Ellis from Norwich. He's a nurse at Norwich City.
Oh, is he?
Norwich Hospital.
I don't know who you are, Ellis. I really apologise, but fuck you, mate.
Hashtag fuck Ellis. How dare you save people's lives all day, every
What
day.
an absolute
He's not-
scumbag.
He's not really a nurse. He works in the canteen.
Fuck Ellis.
And on that bombshell, good night,
Wow.
everyone.